Time for Type 40 Live again. What could possibly go wrong on the live stream Doctor Who magazine show across your view screen here on Rumble, X, YouTube and Facebook, joined by a live chat full of fellow friends, fans and companions just like you, and whatever your flavour, your era, whoever's your Doctor, there'll be something to set your time rotor spinning as always. And we follow our sort of all out bring in on the state of the Christmas special with more. Plus, we go back to Saturday nights and live with more gold. Maybe we'll be the judge of that, I suppose, and so much more. I'm exhausted just thinking about it, so we'll just get on with it. It's the Big Who with Type 40 Live. Now, Katie, now. And so preoccupied have I been with all things Who over the last week-ish that I've sort of let the grass grow, really. It needs a brush up and a sweep up. But it's been a busy autumn and a winter, and it is kind of that time of year, isn't it? A late spring clean, so it's time to get into the shed, pull it all out, have a rummage, and to see what we can sort of trim up and get ship shape in the nicest possible way. Why all this stuff always comes out rude, I'm not entirely sure. I think it's an affliction of some kind. Hello, everybody. Hello. I'm Dan Handley, Birmingham's king of the geeks, and we'll find out who you are in a moment or two as well. I know you can't wait to get cracking and to see what we've got to talk about this time, can you? And I'll tell you what I know as long as you grab a trowel and whatever else I bring out and you sort of get stuck in as well. And I'm sure that together we'll get it all shipshape in next to no time. How does that? It actually looks like a big job, doesn't it? Oh, yeah. Okay, fortunately for me, I have some experts. Actually, literally in one case, because last week, this gentleman, bless him, he was obsessed with gardening. I don't know what he'd been thinking. Maybe he just had a hot day in the sun. But at least I know that if there is a mower somewhere around, that the best one's got to be ridden by David Milling.
Hello, indeed. Good evening, everybody. Hello, Dan. I think you've got a bit of a bush issue there that needs a good strimmer on that.
Not for the first.
I think there's a bit of strimmer, chainsaw. I think it's a bit too much for the ride-on mower to tackle, actually, at the moment. But, sorry about that bizarre fascination with lawnmowers. I do like this. Last week, that was a bit of a joke that got out of hand, really. But I ran with it. I've submitted the script idea, and I'm waiting to hear. But I've developed a full pitch involving invasion of the killer lawnmowers. But I do love I do love this aesthetic that's going on in the TARDIS. It's rather mysterious, and I would quite like to see that. It's a bit of, dare I say, if you'll forgive me, that's how I could imagine this sort of TARDIS's cloister room looking like. I know it's in the main console, but I would like to see that sort of, like, with the tree growing in there. That's how I imagine a cloister room would look like. So I find it quite relaxing. I like it.
I suppose it is. Yeah, there's something of the Tolkien about it, I think.
Yeah.
And J.R.R. Tolkien, he hung out in a lot of places local to me, so that's probably quite apt. Yeah, I do. I quite like this too. It's very mysterious and almost ethereal. Ideal place to bring on and in the rest of the panel too. Have they got their dungarees and their wellies on? I don't know, but I think she's had her hair done at least. Charlotte Shields.
Everybody. I've literally washed it, folks. I must have dried it very extra special tonight without realising.
There you go.
No, but do you know it's funny with that picture? Do you know how, like, as Doctor Who fans, we all have our little what ifs and our little imaginings?
All the time.
I've always had an image of, like, a story opening with a TARDIS covered in ivy, sort of being left to nature a bit. And, like, if you had a Doctor that was away for a while for a reason, or, like, we had in 2005 that there was that sort of gap and you didn't quite know what had happened with the Doctor. I had that image of like a companion character just stumbling across the TARDIS in the woods, covered in ivy, and it would probably look like that inside there.
It would gather moss.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of like I said, that idea of nature reclaiming it because it's been left for X reason.
Was it Eccleston's doctor? Eccleston's doctor said to Rose at the end of series 1, she said, what about the TARDIS? And he said, so just let it become forgotten on a street corner somewhere.
Yeah, and maybe that's where I've always had that without realising this idea in my head from. But I just think there's something poetic about
this fabulous piece, Charlotte, by a mystery artist, was inspired, is linked to the more recent episode 73 Yards, partly because of something similar to your description, really. They'd imagined what it would be like inside the TARDIS had it been left for all that time in that particular very eerie and almost Wicker Man style episode. And I just thought it was perfect for this time of year, you know, when you are thinking about, okay, you're looking out of the kitchen window or out of the patio doors of the orangery, and depending on how you live and where you live, and you think, God, I suppose I better get stuck into all of this. It's the flavour of now, and of course it chimes in with David's love of all things. So
it does.
Yeah, horticultural.
It also made me think of that, even though I hated the story, in the Capaldi era where the TARDIS was covered with like all the, was it like pictures for Clara?
Painted and things like that.
I love that TARDIS image from the.
It was a bit like a bit like a shrine, wasn't it? A bit like a shrine.
I did love that look for the TARDIS as well.
Speaking of the shrine itself, of course, I know that the people of Wales are all gathering around Mermaid Quay, aren't they, to salvage what they can from Yanto's shrine and carry the torch for the little fella. Not least of all, our Luke Walters, the chief hooligan, he's back too. Hello, mate. You okay?
I have nothing of Yanto's little fella, so I'm just putting that out there.
Oh no!
I have not gone there to get Yanto's little fella. Jesus.
Who had 8 minutes?
Just get them out the system,
Bingo,
now, folks.
On the
spot.
Yeah.
Oh,
right,
you right, Luke? Have you been, mate?
Not too bad. Been a nice quiet week. So,
Been a quiet week for you. I'm glad it asked for some. You've been keeping out of trouble.
I always do. Yeah. I went to B&Q today. Looked for a new lawnmower. Sadly,
really?
Yeah. But then I realised I live in a flat, so it'd be pointless, really.
Yeah.
So I bought some hay instead.
Yeah. In the middle of the city.
Yeah, there's no grass in Manchester. Only in Crackadilly Gardens, and they're digging that up. So.
Well, you know, you could simulate this kind of effect there in your place, couldn't you? You know, have you got a balcony or anything like that?
Actually, me and the missus just got 2 guinea pigs. So right now there's just hay and forage and shit everywhere. So my flat currently looks like this. So it looks like a standard day to me right now.
When you open the front door, the front door, do you just go, yeah, smells of guinea pigs?
No, they're very clean somehow.
Are they?
Yeah, they're quite mad. They're cool though. Ferris and Sloane. That's their own. Ferris and Jeannie after Ferris Bueller's Day Off, because Mrs. is a big fan. So there you go.
Who isn't? I like it. I really well. Congratulations on your 2 new arrivals, definitely, and I hope you enjoy our 73 yards sort of themed opening there. You couldn't get more. You couldn't get more coastal and more relaxing, I think, than this. It's just when the Doctor and the Companion turn up, things go pear-shaped. It's not going to happen here, of course. We've got a more reliable final combatant to bring into the arena again this time. And I think they say dress for the job you want, don't they? And Gary here, I wonder if he's making a statement of any kind with his choice of headgear on this occasion. Welcome back, Gary Akers.
Yes, I'm actually throwing my hat in the ring for showrunner. I want to make that official announcement here today. That's our big news. I do have to start out with an apology once again this week. Right. My thoughts have not been with Yanto once again this week. So
how about
his little fella?
I'm sorry about that. I've neglected my duties as a fan to have my thoughts not be with him this week. You know I wanted to say. what I want to say about that picture is if I had unlimited funds, if I won the lottery and had unlimited funds and a big place with a huge backyard, I would be very tempted to build an outdoor gazebo that looks like this.
Oh, that'd be nice.
That'd be nice.
I can see that sort of work. I mean, the neighbours might point and stare.
Yeah.
And you might get a sort of some sort of health and safety order, but if you kept on top of it, who knows? 73 yards was 2 years ago now. Believe it or not, Gary, a whole 2 years has passed since this. I think one of the better installments of that particular season, which I think we're still calling season 1. Do you remember it very well now? It's been a long time.
I have
been to sleep since then.
In those 2 years, again, I have to apologize. I have not been compelled to rewatch it. But I do remember that was one of the only episodes that season that I thought worked, mostly because that guy wasn't in it most of the time.
I love the tone of it. I remember loving the tone and the creepiness. It just, once you got to the ending, it just fell apart.
I wish that they'd sustained that kind of cliff gothic thing that was in the first 20 minutes, and then they abandoned it for something else. They should have had that tone for the whole episode.
It's very, very disturbing.
Was brilliant. I'll give it that. The whole pub scene.
Remember that Roger Moore movie, The Man Who Haunted Himself? It's kind of like the girl who haunted herself. I think that Mila Gibson is superb in this. And when you look back at the pictures we've got on screen now, Luke, you're aware that the colour palette of what they're wearing and the locality, the way it's shot. This is speaking. I've just become very self-conscious of the fact I'm speaking to a filmmaker. So what I've said might not make any sense. But to me, it looks like it's all actually really organic and beautifully considered.
Yeah, it was one of the better shot episodes. I enjoyed season 1, apart from the finale. But even on reflection, I didn't mind that as much. I think it just built itself up a little bit too much, and Suteth the dog is just a travesty. But going back when you know what to expect, it's like, oh right, okay, cool. But yeah, it's shock horror. I'm in agreement with Gary and Charlotte. And Gary, but Gary for once was like the first 20 minutes when Ruby goes to the pub and it's so creepy and eerie, and you're like, oh right, okay. And then 10 minutes later, she's 30 years older, and the only way you find out she's 30 years older is because she's wearing a pair of glasses. Is a bit like, right, okay, this is a bit of a jump. This is a bit of a leap. I enjoyed it for what it was. I just thought, the ending just completely fell apart, as Charlotte said, which is a shame. Which is a shame because it's such a cool premise, and just let itself down. But that's a shame. I enjoyed Dot and Bubble more. I thought Dot and Bubble was very good.
Yeah, I think I preferred that one. If it was if push came to shove, that was also a Dr. Light one. You sort of forget, don't you, after a couple of years, what was what, because it was so intense back then, and now I think we're still sort of coming down from all of that. We've had some breaking news in the last couple of hours, everybody. This has just been announced late this afternoon in Britain, with a very familiar set of artworks here that we've seen these time and time again over about the last 6 or 7 years, I think. But this time they come with a fanfare announcing that AMC Plus has today become the new home exclusive streaming home to 13 seasons and 175 episodes of new Doctor Who. So everything between 2005 and 2022, so from Rose up to the Power of the Doctor, is now going to be on AMC Plus over in America. So I can't remember where it was most recently, but HBO had it for quite a long time, didn't they? And before that, it was Netflix, wasn't it? So it's been around quite a lot. This all begins, Gary, you may want to make a note of this being in the States, Thursday, June the 11th. So if you've got access to AMC Plus, that's where you can sort of refamiliarize yourself with all those 13 seasons of the original run before the mouse, pre-mouse.
Well, 10 anyway. There's a lot of cablers in the US now are keeping their basic channel, but then adding a plus channel, like AMC, because AMC started out long ago as like a commercial-free movie channel. Older movies, not just like like brand new movies. And then they started adding commercials in to everything, and then a lot of non-movie programming. That's still AMC. Now AMC Plus, I think, might be like a premium thing where you've got to like pay extra. Like I said, there's two. It's one of the alternate channels, like a lot of cablers are doing now.
Yeah, they've gone with a modest launch for this, obviously in Britain, because we don't get this, to the best of my knowledge, but everybody does in America. This is a kind of evolution, I suppose, and a kind of return home for New Who over that side of the Atlantic loop, because as I understand it, AMC is now the predominant, the main shareholder in what used to be BBC America, which obviously had the show for a very long period of time and did so much for it to maintain its profile over in the States. So this does make a kind of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and it's only going to fuel the rumors of that leaked press release even further now, isn't it? So, which it makes sense. AMC makes some good shows, so let them. If this is an indication of potentially what's coming down the line, then yeah, absolutely go for it, because Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, like they have pedigree and they make very good quality shows, not for ridiculously high budgets, and they go on season after season and garner like really strong fan bases.
That was terrific.
Yes, yeah. So it's like I'm all for this. If this is a little dip of the toe into the water of what's to come, then absolutely bring it on.
Yeah, I don't want to make him faint, but I actually want to kind of agree with Luke and
oh my god, what is this?
I think he's absolutely right. I think this is going to be complete red meat to those on social media who are so inclined that every little thing somehow means that there's been a new co-production deal, and this is basically 99.99% confirms that there's going to be a co-production. No, it doesn't. It just means they're showing reruns.
I mean, I want to be clear on this. Last week I spoke about that leak that was all over Reddit concerning AMC, and I never felt that AMC was a wild option, an unlikely streaming home for the series. All I noticed was that press release was definitely faked. And therefore, of course, I don't believe it. And sure enough, the time that was dated on that has been and gone. And none of the things that were included in that are included in this at all. It may well be that this is where the cards fall. I don't know. But yeah, we were right. That press release, whenever we think of Doctor Who's long-term prospects, AMC Plus would be as good a home for it. And AMC would be probably a better streaming partner than some. I certainly think it's a better fit than Disney Plus was, but it still doesn't mean that we've got to sort of go all in on everything and anything we may see on Reddit, David.
Absolutely, and I believe that the AMC the deal to stream past Doctor Who had already been agreed, but we just didn't have a time when it would be streaming from. Hence, why the news broke today of it'll be streaming from the 11th of June. So it looks like somebody got hold of that piece of information, added 2 to it and got 469 and put out that press release dated May the 11th. And Luke's just getting dressed. And
it's time for bed. It's bedtime.
It is. I've got my heating on as well. And so
if he's going to strip off.
No, I'm not stripping. I'm not stripping.
We don't want to see it. I don't want to see his little fella again.
That'll be on the special subscriber channel after the show where he strips.
Type 40 after hours.
After dark, yeah, that's right.
Now available on Patreon.
Yeah. Dear me. That's the Type 40 OnlyFans page. But anyway, so that's what they do is they get half a piece of information, mock up a press release, and then put a false date on it, and then everybody gets hyped up, and then that date passes, and we all go, all right, okay, told you. And then actually what the information is that comes out from AMC is that actually it's going to start on this date on this channel. And so, yeah, there might be stuff going on behind the scenes with any sort of channel, with any sort of platform. But I don't think it would get leaked to us in that sort of way. It would just be, I think when Disney Plus were involved, I think that surprised quite a number of people when that was announced. It certainly surprised me. Oh, where's this come from? All right, fair enough. And it's these sort of corporate deals don't get leaked very often. Rarely do they get leaked because it can be seen that if they do get leaked, it can affect share prices and people can start making sort of like in the know sort of bids on buying shares.
Yeah,
and can affect you know, so it's sort of like a big speculate. Yeah, so it's sort of like a big no financially in financial law. So that's why these things are tend to be kept under wraps. So it's really good that it's being shown on an AMC Plus, and Gary will have to help me out with this one. But with respect to, I don't know if you know Gary, but you live over there, so it's like asking me if you know Mr. Smith in Blackpool. But with respect to old repeats of the first sort of 13 seasons of Doctor Who, whereabouts in America did it peak? Was it Matt's end of Matt Smith's
time? Are you talking one of these doctors over here, or?
Yeah.
I think. Well, okay.
Of America did it peak?
I think. Well, okay. It was first shown on the Sci-Fi network, but it didn't really get a lot of buzz. I actually think it peaked right at the beginning, the end of Tennant and the beginning of Matt Smith, because it made the cover of Entertainment Weekly, which was like probably the premier weekly entertainment national magazine, and so that was huge to have Matt Smith as Doctor Who on the cover of Entertainment Weekly. That means like, okay, you've arrived. And I would say like that was the peak. So I would say like, season 5, season 6, I would say maybe his entire era, basically.
It's fascinating, really a fascinating development, and it is a natural home. Kicks off from June the 11th. Heaven knows how long they'll have it for. Hopefully it'll be for an extended period of time, because I think the Doctor Who does need to reside in the one place for people in America, so they can perhaps find it again, fall in love with it again. That's sort of, I think that's what we all want, ideally, isn't it? And with that hard stop, pre-mouse, that's got to be a good thing too. That's I was going to say that's where it all went wrong, but he's gone wrong 2 or 3 times, hasn't he? Oh, maybe we'll make it through somehow. We'll make it through together. The weekend is in front of us, which is going to mean good things come our way, hasn't it? Well, maybe not. We're back to Saturday Night Live UK, everybody. Now, we talked about this last time because of their really rather sweet Doctor Who spoof, which I certainly didn't see coming. Yeah, I think some of us were more amused by that than others. But in reality, I think the expected car crash didn't happen. And this kind of was a fun look, a sideways look at Doctor Who and some of the customary tropes of the series, as well as plenty of the sort of the modern day references as well. We had a good chat about that last time, and I was sort of convinced that I could have been wrong about Saturday Night Live UK. It has found an audience, as Luke explained. It's going to a second season, and their premise, their format, Gary, which, as I understand, it's the long-established format from the States that's always been in play, of them having a celebrity host, if you like, a guest host that week. Yes. That is continuing, and they did announce, this was a couple of weeks ago, who would be hosting this week for their season finale. It's been revealed in a trailer too. I know those nipples anywhere. He's back, everybody. He's back. Shooty Gatwa is the host of the season finale for Saturday Night Live UK. Obviously, this is showing on Sky TV, and now they've published an official trailer. They've published an official trailer, David, featuring Ncuti Gatwa as well, to get your juices flowing for the finale. Is this something that you will watch in light of the spoof that we watched last week?
No, but that's not because now, to be fair, that's not because he is wearing a gorgeous flower, which I do actually adore. Reminds me of an orchid we've got in our upstairs bedroom. But no, I will be watching the Eurovision Song Contest because my wife is here for the weekend, and I unfortunately couldn't watch the Eurovision Song Contest last year because I was helping you take apart the intergalactic song contest with Charlotte and Luke and Gary whilst that was on. So I'm a huge fan of Eurovision, as is my wife, and we want to watch Eurovision instead. So it will be very much Graham Norton and all the crew instead of Ncuti and that glorious flower.
I just hope that they paid him enough to where he can go out and buy a shirt finally.
Well, maybe after this. This is the BBC. They've got some money behind this, so maybe they'll help the lad out at some point. If you haven't seen the trailer, it's the usual kind of goofery. There's lots of flashes and bangs and regenerations. Ncuti looking sort of gormless, sporting a full beard though, which I think I think he can pull that off. That's pretty good. Yeah. And there's various flashes and bangs, and they joke about how that it is regeneration, but it's not, and that they can't call it that because of copyright reasons. Luke, have you caught this trailer?
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. I love Hannah Waddingham anyway. She's fantastic. And then, yeah, the whole thing of like, regeneration, like, you have the copyright, the BBC stuff. I was like, yeah, you know what? I dig it. And Ncuti's just going to be fun and full of energy. Look, ironically, I don't watch Saturday Night Live. But I might give it a look. I might give it a little watch. So who knows? But yeah, no, I thought it was a nice little trailer, and it's nice to kind of play into the Doctor Who angle and kind of take the mick out of it at the same time. And he seems game for a laugh anyway. So yeah,
he does, because that's the premise as well, isn't it? That they rope, apparently, Charlotte, at various junctions throughout the show, they rope the guest host into interacting, into obviously performing some of the scripts, just in the same way that Amy Lou Wood did in the Doctor Who spoof. So Ncuti may well get to play dress up as well, just spoofing something else, or maybe
Oh,
imitating, I don't know, Keir Starmer or something like that. I don't know.
I said this when sort of last week when we were like, Ncuti's coming up. And I was like, I wonder how much they're going to lean into the Doctor Who stuff.
I don't think they will.
Because it's his most relevant current thing he's done. And like you said, the style of SNL it's like your greatest hits of what you've been up to that you sort of is used for fodder, is used for the sketch material a lot of the time. So I was like, they surely have to do some Doctor Who jokes. They have to do something, because it would be odd if not. And if the trailer, by the looks of it, they're very much leaning into it, it does make me think, how's he going to be? Because we've sort of all said, even if publicly it was all very, I was always going to leave after 2 seasons, this was the plan. But we all collectively sort of said in those live streams, very clearly wasn't the plan. We can all read that this is sort of the PR spin. So he's clearly, there's like a cloud over his leaving of the show. I think that's a good way to phrase it. So to have that, and by the looks of it, to have Doctor Who being used off the trailer, it's like, how far are they going to go? That's my gauge now, which is sort of what I'm wondering with this.
I was under the impression that, I was considering what Gary had said last time, that they may duck it completely and go more for the association with the sex education series for the bulk of it. But now I think, looking at that trailer, all that flash and bang, yeah, I think they probably are going to lean into Doctor Who after all. I was under the impression that Ncuti didn't really want to talk about it or be associated with it as keenly as before, but that could be unrealistic. I think once you've played Doctor Who, you'll always be Doctor Who to one extent or another. And we'll see. This Saturday, Ncuti Gat with the 15th Doctor is scheduled to host the season finale of Saturday Night Live UK. That's May the 16th. And I think it streams afterwards, so it's always up on their streaming platform. And excerpts from it are bound to surface, I think, all across social media. That should be something to look forward to. Something to watch
what else?
While you clear up the garden.
What else has he done that they're going to lean into? What Ken in Barbie? You know, maybe they'll do something like that.
I love Barbie.
I love Barbie.
What a film.
Whatever.
I saw it twice. I saw it twice at the cinema. I loved it that much.
I've
Once
got
with
a
my wife,
I Am
once with
Knuff
my
jumper
daughter.
as well. I love it.
Pardon?
Yeah.
I Am Knuff. Like
Did you?
Knuff.
I got my daughter a I Am a Knuff hoodie for Christmas for that Christmas when it was out. Yeah.
Love Barbie.
Put them on Dan's face.
I've no idea. It's like when they talk about football, Charlotte. I've got no idea what they're talking about. And usually when they do that, I do this.
Hi guys, and welcome to Type 40.
You know what they might do at the very end of the show? Ncuti will say, I'll also be hosting next season 2, but then the BBC will edit that line out.
You could be right. You could be right.
I'd laugh if they just superimposed a photo of Billy over him at the end, but you know.
We've got plenty of people who've dropped into the live chat. A generous supply of commenters and punters have rolled in this time. Good to see you, everybody. Let's take a look. Let's take a short look at who's here. Adrian James is here. Evening, everybody, says Adrian. And Stephen O'Neill has joined us too, admiring our console room there, all covered in greenery. I think he's volunteered to clear it up for us. Hello, says Farsight. Hello, Farsight. And Black Glove Studio says the big question really is, does anyone care if Tennant and Piper don't join the special? I think it's been definitely established, Chris, that people really, really care, including Mr. Matt. He's here too. Hello, all caps there. Busy chat room. This is going to be good, says Zero Room. No pressure, Zero Room. Thanks for being here again. We've got 70 Triple M, says Evening All. We've got Funky in the chat, and Cheryl, the Gallifrey Angel, has fluttered into here to bless us all on this Thursday evening, UK time. Woodhouse 122's in as well. Evening All. We've got a Sherlock UK. That's a new name, or is it a new name for an old account? Hey, Dan says Sherlock UK. Hey. Stephen and Tony, Big T, is also here with the greetings and salutations from soggy Lancashire. Now, the weather's been very strange today, Charlotte. It's been beating down with sun for 10, 15 minutes, and then it's pissing it down with rain again, which is about par for the course, isn't it? So we haven't mentioned the weather yet. It is customary.
It's why I currently have sunglasses and a brolly in my bag for work.
We've had hail here today. It's been really quite haily.
Hail.
Yeah, I was just about to do it, but I was like, I won't do that.
It's a standard sort of YouTube gag. Philip Roy, Doctor Who himself, is in the live chat. The AMC now have Doctor Who. Nelson Mandela must be turning in his grave. AMC sounds like an 80s pop group, according to Stephen O'Neill. And Tony also says, Big T in with the hard facts. AMC bought a 49.9% share in BBC America in 2014 for $200 million. And the remainder for $42 million show how much value BBC America has lost in the last 10 years. Yeah, it fell off a cliff, didn't it, Gary?
It did. I mean, the ratings during the Jodie era, and I'm not saying that just to knock Jodie, but you can go back and check the ratings, were all good for years. And then when Jodie started, they fell off a cliff.
I watched Good Omens last night. That was
any good? Or was it mediocre Omens?
Yeah, it's awful.
I really liked season 2.
Yeah, it's a shame. David Tennant is just playing 10th Doctor to a T. It's it's all over the place. It's very, very much. You can see it's an entire series condensed down into 90 minutes.
Those two. They've got to give it a rest, Michael Sheen and David Tennant.
Yeah.
Even looking at a picture of those two, I find cringe-inducing now. Farsight asks, does AMC's programming tie in with the BBC's idea of Doctor Who, though? Well, clearly it does, because they've acquired the old shows. But as for any kind of streaming partnership they may enter into in the future, only they know that. So I think we'll cross that bridge if it ever presents itself for us to come to. Luke is in his body bag, commemorating Yanto Jones.
Yes.
He slipped into your Udi, and Darren is suggesting it is in tribute there. His fellow Welshman Darren Bradley in the live chat. Good to have you with us, Darren.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Yanto.
Hearts and thoughts.
Yeah. Cheryl's looking forward to Eurovision. My God, do people still watch this? It staggers me.
Yeah.
Bless you all, I suppose. Would you get tanked up to watch it, David? Is that what it is? You get on the outside of a few pints?
It's best watched sober, because you then actually fully experience the sheer surrealism of it. Sober. Absolutely stone cold sober. You actually go, what am I watching?
Is what's his name hosting it again?
No, it'll be somebody from where it's being held. I can't remember where it's being held in. I don't know if is it Denmark this year? I know that people tried to sing a song for San Marino, and they didn't get through the semis to the final.
Yes, you couldn't keep a straight face to say semi, could you?
No.
Not on this show, mate. Cheryl, it's Cheryl's birthday coming up on Monday.
Birthday,
so happy
love.
birthday for Monday,
Happy birthday.
Cheryl, ahead of time. And people are debating, obviously, the question of the week. A report last week, The Real Unknowns, is not sure if Tennant will be very likely, but will definitely be in it. Why do people keep talking about obviously nonsense rumours? We are the source of those obviously nonsense rumours here. Unknown.
Yeah,
we know why, because we've spoken to the relevant people.
That's right.
And so we'll come back to more of that in a little while. Don't you worry about that.
I saw Billy down Greg's the other morning. I said, Billy, why? And she just said, oh, I'm just too busy, So as she walked out with a very large eclair, I have to say.
You could have said then, why are you in Doctor? And she's like, because I want to. Like, it was there. It was hanging fruit was there.
I know. She said, do you have a girlfriend? I said, yes.
Tall Paul says AMC Plus streamed Doctor Who when BBC America TV channel ran the show. Okay, so they've streamed it before. Again, had no idea about that. No idea at all. Oh, and we've got a 20 years wedding anniversary there in the live chat for our loyal and moderator, Lord Thoth there. Thank you so much for your sterling service there in the live chat, mate, and a very happy 20th wedding anniversary to yourself and your princess, Lady Thoth there. Hope you both have a brilliant weekend. Congratulations again from all of us, mate. Cheryl's looking forward to her birthday. I don't doubt. Garbage is in the chat as well. Power Ranger Donny's here too. Lots of familiar names and icons and lots of newbies as well. The ideal mix to bring forth the remainder of our scandalous, harmful and offensive content, according to some. But
they are against petrol lawnmowers.
And proud of it.
Petrol lawnmowers, evil petrol lawnmowers. They can't stand them.
All your fault, David. It's just
I know.
You,
I'm sorry.
That's
it's
right.
like Gary's introduced us to the idea of the 14th Doctor mowing Donna's lawn. So that was it.
That's right. That's where he is.
Absolute and total smut. You would never catch me coming out with anything like that. But you can come out with whatever you like there in the live chat on Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook, and we'll bring as much of it onto the screen as we can, so we can all talk about the matters at hand as we roll out the rest. What's next and where next? Somewhere desperately glamorous, bathed in sunshine as well, and full of possibilities and fantastical sights. I think I built that up a bit too far.
Perfect. Just the person I need to see. Firstly, loving the outfit, by the way. Really suits your hair. Secondly, the universe is falling apart. I don't have much time to yet. I need to shoot off. I need to do something. But by all means, this is imperative. Watch Type 40. The Type 40 podcast is where you need to be. Seguile!
Who is that?
I've no idea.
He's our mascot.
Oh yeah, I've always wondered who is that.
If you are out there, Mr. Fez, as I call him, Mr. Fez, if you're watching, make yourself known, expose yourself. Just tell
No.
Reveal. I think the word I was looking for was reveal. I don't know what's wrong with me tonight. Okay, so I wanted to give a quick nod to the Doctor Who Appreciation Society. This past weekend, we talked about this last time as well, but it's been and gone now. So they were celebrating 50 years of DWAS, and here's the original cast and crew of the Appreciation Society. Several people that we know are associated with this, not least of all Keith Barnfather there on the left, friend of the show. There he is with some of the original kind of bullpen, those pioneers of Doctor Who appreciation 50 years ago in 1976. To commemorate 5 decades of DWAS, they descended on, so this was the glamorous location, Gatwick Airport in Crawley, West Sussex, at the Crown Plaza, London, for this huge convention. I can't believe it. I mean, you look at some of the pictures for this, and Tony Jordan came on the podcast to talk about his plans for this and how ambitious it was and the surprises he was going to spring. You think, well, okay, some of it comes together, some of it doesn't. It looks a very, very good game. But in my experience from the events that I've been to, and certainly looking at these pictures, they definitely delivered once again here for the capital. 50 years of DWAS at the Crown Plaza. There's lots of fabulous images all across social media of lots of the attendees as well, the greats and the goods, like Christopher Ryan and Dan Starkey, the Sontarans, Philip Hinchcliffe and Katie Manning, Paul McGann, and a surprise appearance by the Critical Drinker there in the top. Next to him, that's Dean Hollingsworth, who was the android in Timelash. So this is a really eclectic bunch of people from in front of the camera or behind the camera on Doctor Who, stretching throughout its 60 plus years on TV. So has anybody seen this?
No.
Yeah,
What?
I saw the photo price list beforehand, and I have to say it was incredibly reasonable. Although they got Katie Manning's price wrong. They put it down initially, put it down for 20 quid, but they had to issue an apology saying it was 25. And I'd pay 25 quid for a snap with Katie Manning every day.
Okay,
moving on.
Over that.
I think I think it's great that they got Philip Hinchcliffe there, since the society started during his era.
Good point. There were screenings, there were presentations, there were signings, and lots of panels. 16 panels this time, fronted by various members of the Doctor Who Appreciation Society team there this time. And here's some more people. Barnaby Edwards is there, and there's Pete McTighe and Jeff Cummins, again friend of the show, Jeff Cummins, all there to get stuck in, really. Oh, Des Skin, the guy who made Doctor Who Weekly happen in the Dead Centre, he was there as well. Yeah. Loads more big names and friendly, recognisable faces. There's Michelle Greenidge at the bottom, Jacqueline King, Janet Fielding, Colin Baker, and Nicola Bryant. This looks like so much fun. They've evidently pulled off this event with serious style here, not least of all because they had Katie Manning, and another of our friends was there, Tasha Akaleos, on hand. So I just think this looks like a wonderful event. I'm so sorry to have missed it now.
it's such a wide collection, like you said, that pretty much nearly every bit of classic in some way is represented, which I think is very fitting, with it being the 50th of the anniversary, sorry, of the group. So you can tell they clearly on purpose wanted that real, everything was represented as much as they could, which is what I do love about the Doctor Who convention scene. We have so many brilliant people still that go to these, that are part of the show or have been part of the show.
Pairing Ruby's mum with Donna's mum there on that particular panel, and lots more. 16 panels, a Sarah Jane panel with Gary Russell and the actor who played Luke, whose name escapes me at the moment. What's his name?
Who played Luke?
Who played Lucas Smith?
I am not a real person. I am an AI avatar.
So he was Tommy Knight. Of course, it's Tommy Knight.
Yeah.
So there's Tommy Knight and Gary Russell talking about the Sarah Jane adventures, and Colin Baker and Nicola Bryant there with Tony Jordan himself having a chin wag. So it does look like it was very, very well attended, and there was cuttings of various sizes of cake by Colin Baker and Tony Jordan. Of course, because Colin Baker is still the president-elect of the High Council of the Doctor Who Appreciation Society. Long may that continue. Colin did double duty. There he is with our mate. I've known Colin for years. There's Colin Howard, fabulous Doctor Who artist from all those VHS covers, who received one of these himself. So a lifetime outstanding contribution to Doctor Who there for Colin Howard. Again, thrilled for Colin. He's just announced the second volume of his book as well, his art book, Time Slides 2. So hopefully Colin will come on and talk to us about that. Mark Ayres also received an Outstanding Contribution Award. There he is with Dominic Glynn. So all this is fabulous to see. And Pete McTighe picked up an award as well. So this was the Terence Dicks Writers Award, which they give out every year, presented by Terence Dicks' sons John and Ollie to Pete McTighe this time. Of course, Pete, last year he was responsible for, was it Lucky Day? Lucky Day was definitely one of his. And the War Between the Land and the Sea, of course, he was there for that, wasn't he? So, yeah, a man sort of the moment who everybody's talking about for one reason or another. Could be a controversial pick for some, because some of his episodes, I'm not too keen on them myself. Praxius sent me to sleep. But it's interesting that when they pick somebody new rather than somebody from 10 or 20 years ago, I think, Gary.
I'm wondering, well, I guess I'm kind of glad they didn't have a Homo Aqua on that statue, and they actually gave what is that, the Master?
The Master.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I'm really glad. I mean, look, for a convention like this, so what, they got like 2 doctors, at least 2 companions at least. And I'm really glad that they were, they honored a lot of people who may not be like in front of the camera, but nonetheless have had a real, impact on the fandom, like the target book artists, et cetera, who are well known to fans and who have contributed to the, breadth of the fandom, even though, they're not like household names, but they still have, contributed quite a lot.
Well, as you say, it's the people as well, people who've been connected with the show for so long, like Philip Hinchcliffe, who obviously he's there partly representing so many people, his colleagues, not just the actors, but fellow production crew who aren't with us anymore. And so when Philip is there holding aloft the award that he was picking up, the story that he produced, Genesis of the Daleks, won the 50th anniversary poll for best story at this event. And I mean, look, that is real pride on this man's face. And I do think that it is partly that he's holding that aloft for his whole team, whether they're still with us or not. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. I don't know. I think its attendees and members of the society were the ones who arrived at this pick, which again could be controversial because the question of favourite and best Doctor Who stories always is. But Genesis of the Daleks is always sort of there towards the top, and it's just great to see Philip Hinchcliffe enjoying himself and warmly receiving this award, the DWAS Golden Anniversary Award for Genesis of the Daleks. So it's It's great. They really pulled it off this time. The biggest surprise for me, though, because he was only on the show a couple of weeks ago. Why didn't you say something, Tony? Tony chose this event to announce his departure as DWAS coordinator after 11 years. I know it's a sad day. He's put so much into it. So in some senses, I'm not surprised because there's only so much gas anybody's got left in the tank. But this announcement was obviously met with a wave of affection and appreciation for Tony himself, not least of all for Nicola Bryant here, who said, utterly brilliant day at the Capital Convention. DWAS events are always so much fun, especially moving farewell to Tony Jordan, stepping down after so many years, decades of service to the fans of Doctor Who. She didn't have any photos herself, but she knew that all of these were all over social media. So, yeah, Tony stepping down after all this time and passing the baton on to a younger generation, I suppose, which is how these things I think should be, Charlotte.
Well, yeah, because I think the brilliant thing about Doctor Who at the moment is you've got a wide sort of net of fans that, when in general of the show, whether they are sort of classic era and then they watch the New Who, or like me, started with New Who and has very much gone back and appreciated classic and loves it now just as much. I think you sort of need somebody who maybe going forward can sort of have the experiences of both a little bit and be able to use both those parts of Who, because as much as classic is having a resurgence right now, and I think
definitely
Hinchcliffe is a part of that. I think a lot of the classic writers and actors and people are sort of having their days in the sun, which I think is long overdue and brilliant.
Yeah.
I think you as much as New Who has got its problems at times, it also needs to be celebrated. It also needs to sort of be appreciated for what it has done right. So I think you need somebody who can do both, which is very hard because it can be very hard to sort of be in the middle of both those things at times.
Get Toby to do it. He's on everything. Get Toby here. He'll do it. Easy choice. There you go. Sorted. Toby, you're in.
I think we should get Luke Walters to do it. I think he should turn it into the Hooligans Appreciation Society and really crank it up.
I would turn DWAS into a Doctor Who pop world. That's what I would do.
That's your pitch.
Oh, good Lord.
What?
This is my pitch. Move over West Street in. I'm coming for the keys.
I think Katie would probably get a second wind at the thought of that. But again, congratulations to everybody connected there with DWAS at the culmination of this 50 years of DWAS event. We know how much effort, hard work has gone in to not just planning this convention, but everything that Tony's done over the last 10 years and that crucial reinvention of the society that's happened lately. So I think fans owe him a lot, and he's definitely gone out with style.
I'm Leela of the 17, and you should watch Type 40.
Yeah. She's right. Don't argue with the girl with the knife. Yes, so
very good advice there. Very good advice.
As always. How are we feeling, everybody? Feeling good? Can you believe we've been on for 50-odd minutes already? Where does the time go when you're talking Doctor Who?
You know what I hope that they do, because I know that the DWAS puts out a lot of publications and videos and stuff. I hope that somebody was recording the day and they kind of compile it into like a DVD, like a special like hour and a half, whatever DVD of the highlights from that convention. I think that would be cool.
Well, the Metropolitan Police have got it first. But I imagine once they've cleared it, it'll be fine.
Yes.
Very well said, Charlotte, says Stephen Braddock in the live chat. And people are arguing. See, you bring up the best story poll even here, and people start to fight amongst themselves. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. It's going to be the other. No. I mean, maybe we should do this again at some point. We haven't done it for a long time, have we, Charlotte?
No, and I think the poll, like you said, is ever evolving with favourite stories, or like what mood you're in that day, what you feel like watching.
It is.
I mean, the only thing that Caves hasn't got in is those bloody clams in that passageway.
I love the clams.
Those
Nothing's
clams,
perfect, mate.
really. It sort of takes it.
You know what? Actually, David, maybe hopefully on the SNL writing staff, there's like a Doctor Who fan, and one of the skits will be, Shooty attacked by a giant clam. That'd be great.
I'd love to see that.
Deep cut.
Yeah,
That's a very deep
clams. Nothing is ever decided. Nothing is ever concluded, and the dust never settles, and the weeds never grow for too long, especially in the last week or so. So last time we talked about the Doctor Who Christmas special, the plan, the promised, fingers crossed Christmas special. Is it on its way or not? Who will be there? We broke the story exclusively in our thorough report last week. No David Tennant, no Billy Piper, no script at that time. Some people were happier than others about all of this. He's still not a happy camper, and this has progressed when the story really started to take off on social media, and only in the last 2 or 3 days this has been. And we did have a response here from friend of the show, Ian O. Time Lord. Now it turns out that he has not long ago spoken with Russell T. Davies, and he said this: I met Russell T. Davies a few weeks back. I said, not long till Christmas, and his reply surprised me. We'll see. Ian quoted. I know.
Wow.
Ian went on to say, I had expected him to sound more enthusiastic.
That may be, Dan, that may be the first thing I've ever seen Russell say that didn't include like 5 or 6 adjectives in the sentence.
Yeah.
I am not doing Russell's voice for anyone in the chat wondering.
They hadn't said it yet, Luke, but it was coming.
No,
probably.
before anyone starts, I'm not going to be like, oh, yes, it's coming. It's brilliant, even though I just did it. But I'm not doing it.
So as a result of the social media burst during that time, when our report really started to gather pace, we were making the front page there of X with one of their summaries, and myself and Ian in the equation there, conversing with the likes of Star Hoovian and Callum. Is that the great intelligence there? So lots and lots of people were talking about this, it's great for us, isn't it? And at least it kept the Prime Minister out of the news for a little while, just a little while. And so that's got to be good news for everybody. We're returning to that subject in a few moments' time. I know. Who wants to go back into the fray? It's coming right up, as well as this reminder. As always, got to remind you that if you want to catch up on that, if you missed the first of these conversations and that explosive report of ours last time, it's in the playlist. So you can go and you can watch that, rewatch it, and go over every little word that we said and try and trip me up with that if you can. There's previous reports in the playlist as well, our rolling news coverage, and plenty of deep dives into certain stories or seasons and celebrations of the contributions of key Doctor Who figures, all there in the playlists here on the Type 40 YouTube and Rumble channels. Enjoy them over and over again. Evergreen content, everybody. Evergreen content. The Type 40 podcast is across all major podcatchers, as always. Audible, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple, all those places, or at our home feed at type40.podbean.com. This is Type 40 Live, Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook. We're going to get stuck into some more right after our customary Type 40 Live Doctor Who ad break. So this is the place, this is the junction where we shuttle and shuffle our way back through the decades here. Television in a simpler age, I suppose, when Doctor Who faces and voices and all manner of monsters and ghoulies got together to flog us all manner of bits of old tat there over on the other side, mostly. So see which of these that you remember, and we'll be back with more from your Type 40 Live in a couple of minutes.
With carbohydrates and 7 of the essential vitamins, every bowl of Kellogg's cornflakes is a bowl full of sunshine. So whatever you get up to Kellogg's cornflakes.
What can you get for a tenner these days? I'm off to Farm Foods.
Minced beef and onion, cooked diced chicken, 50 chicken breast bites, a rack of ribs, 24 rashers of bacon, and a bag of diced beefsteak. Amazingly, any 4 of these for just £10.
Fill up your freezer at Farm Foods.
Doctor Who is back in one of the hottest computer games of the year. It's super arcade adventure all the way as you battle your way through 5 huge levels. Mutilate mutants, menace monsters, and exterminate those evil Daleks before they exterminate you. Dalek Attack, the meanest game this side of Skaro.
Hi there. If you're a motorist, watch this space. That could be your car in a fog. Not much for a driver coming up behind to see, is it? That's better. Now, most of us who've got rear fog lamps don't need much telling to use them when it's really foggy. After all, who needs a rear-end shunt? But did you know that rear fog lights are 20 times brighter than ordinary rear lights? And that means if you also use them in traffic at night, then look what can happen. Dazzle. And if the windscreen is wet, then the driver behind could be in real trouble. Because if you brake, the chances are he won't even see your brake lights come on. So, only use rear fog lamps when there's a real danger that otherwise you won't be seen. And the rest of the time, think of the poor driver behind. He doesn't want to run into you, but if you dazzle him, he just might. Beware of rear dazzle.
Welcome back to Type 40 Live, Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook. We definitely guarantee no rear end shunt is going on here on this edition of the show. Okay, so yeah, we're back. We're back with more, the past, the present, and the future of all of Doctor Who, just not necessarily in that order, right, Ant? Oh, I've got the panel back. At least I think they're back. Are they back, present, all correct? Let's go and see. Let's put them on the spot. Here they are. And here we are. So, hello, everybody. Welcome back. So we've got Mr. David Milling, Gary Akers too. We've got Charlotte Shields over there, who turns out has washed her hair, not had it cut, and Luke Walters, ooded up and raring to go once more into the breach. Hope you enjoyed the adverts, everybody. Let's see what people have got to say. I think those went down particularly well. Peter Purvis there warning us to watch how we use our hazard lights. David, sound advice, whether it was in the 80s or now.
yes. One of my pet hates is people driving with fog lights on in the rain. No. Fog lights are designed for fog and fog alone. Okay, so just
dazzle.
Keep your distance. Yeah, keep your distance. Slow down when it's raining heavily on the motorways or driving, and just do not put your fog lights on unless the visibility requires you to put your fog lights on. And when it's clear, turn them off. Sorry.
Well, this is a good message from Type 40.
Sit on lawnmowers and we put some fog lights on it.
I actually think I thought they missed a beat during that Kellogg's commercial. The last shot should have been the Cyberman taking some and going, excellent. That would have been
good. I thought that was great. Perfect to celebrate 50 years of Duas to dig that one out. I like Bill Silver's comment here. Is that Barnes Common where Peter Purvis' car is broken down?
Deep dive.
We could ask. I'll reach out and ask Peter. I suspect his memory could also be somewhat foggy after 48 years. He might remember.
I thought for a second, Dan, I was on that commercial. I thought, wait, are we watching one of Bulls Trek's PSAs now? But it turned out to be something else.
But we'll have to send that along, won't we? He'll love that. He'll love that. People are reminiscing about the 1993 Doctor Who computer game Dalek Attack, which came in. You could buy 2 different versions of that. Was it 7-bit or 14-bit or 16-bit or something like that? It's wonderful stuff.
I couldn't help but laugh though. It was like, and you have 5 levels. And I was just like, so you play games now, I was like, oh, that's cute.
Charlotte, we only had 4 TV channels then, so it's 5. It's like, whoa, you're spoiling us. What's going on? Does farm food still exist? Charlotte asks Funky in the live chat. It does?
It does, in certain, very, small shopping areas.
Does it?
Okay.
Yeah, it does.
There's not one by me.
Do you remember, Summerfields?
Yes, and Gateway.
Yes. Safeway, Gateway, got all those,
And Quick Save.
Quick Save was the one, man. Quick Save was the one.
Quick Save was where it was at, wasn't it? It definitely was. Back into the breach. I think we've got lots of comments, lots of people watching. Thank you. I know what you're here for, everybody. To be tormented by talk of Christmas. Christmas is closer than you think, probably closer than we all think. I expect selection boxes are probably going to be in the shops in the next few weeks. Charlotte, heaven forbid. So it'll be on our minds whether we want it to be or not. But it's definitely been on the minds of Doctor Who fans, I think, probably all year for very, very clear reasons. It keeps popping up, doesn't it? Imagine the plight, though, of Russell T Davies. Look, it's entirely of his own doing, all of this, really, working to a sort of schedule with a kind of script and a cast, but not really a cast, and just a general agreement to write something and sort of screen something wherever and however, and to send out the signals to us. It's all well and good slapping together a season finale in the way that he did. I accept that maybe it wasn't the ideal scenario. I think we can forgive somebody for that up to a point, even after we've watched it. And it's easy enough for the press office to bang together a press release with a very fancy, sort of reassuring and familiar graphic. This was all met with open arms, which is a miracle considering what we just sat through a few months before in October. But here we are. It's May. This is the recap. It's May. We have allegedly right now no stars. Neither David Tennant nor Billy Piper can simply make time for the Christmas special in their busy schedules. As it stands, means there's no script. This was the last sighting we had of Russell's last draft of his script, and whether he likes it or not, and whether we like it or not, the holidays are coming. They're going to be here faster than I think any of us think. Really, things do change. We spoke about this on the last edition of the show. This is a moment in time, and whatever's gone on and taken them to the place they're at now, it's obviously not going to stall in this lane and get clogged up in this particular snowdrift. The wagon's got to get moving again at some point, and times have changed before. So our report last time wasn't a final word. It's the state of play as things are now. Speculation from trusted sources. And this is the Doctor Who community. Quite often, that has been the place. The stories in between the press releases are where the most fascinating elements, combinations and shifts in Doctor Who have traditionally occurred. I mean, I want to draw your attention for a moment back to 2004, where it was announced that there would be no Daleks at all featuring in the new series of Doctor Who. If you remember, there'd been a conflict with the estate of Terry Nation. Talks had collapsed due to various disputes over scripts and editorial control. However, in due course, Doctor Who did reappear on BBC One, and the Daleks were there. So things can change, and we all know what went on, what happened from there on in. There's a waiting audience for Doctor Who. I believe that the general mood of the British public is that there is affection for how the series used to make them feel, particularly at Christmases past. We used to huddle round as a family, everybody, I think, all over Britain, to enjoy those specials. But the thing is, just as times change, so does the TV industry. So do ratings and rating systems, and the way in which programs are scheduled. And quite understandably, over time, where they belong. There's a more crowded TV schedule than ever. I mean, you look at the average TV guide. I used to go through my TV guide with a highlighter pen and post-it notes and do all of this. It was all part of the fun. But I'm not sure people consume television in the same way. And obviously, Doctor Who fans, we do tend to get sort of stuck in various ruts. And I think we are creatures of habit in many respects. But that doesn't mean that things don't evolve, and we shouldn't sort of push through and to push our noses deeper sort of under the covers, really, because tradition has to give way to transition at some point. And I think that is happening with Doctor Who right now. And just as our friend Ian O. Time Lord managed to coax out of Russell T Davies the other day when he asked him, not long till Christmas, he asked Russell T Davies, "We'll see," was the response. There is, and this is just the latest example of several signals that I've been picking up on, again, through various connections, that perhaps if the Doctor Who special does materialize in the form that we sort of expect, is it a natural fit for Christmas Day or the entire Christmas holiday period anymore? That's the real question. Could the TARDIS's return to the screen actually be delayed simply by practical matters? And where we are now, does the casual audience still desire their Doctor Who on Christmas Day in the way that they did? Because the fact is that link and that connection, that association has been severely damaged in recent years through experimentation and out-and-out failure. There's only so much of that kind of damage that even this connection, I believe, can take, Charlotte. What are your thoughts? Does Doctor Who still belong on Christmas Day, despite the big fancy graphic?
I think the tester for that was Shooty's one just gone, which was Joy to the World. Because, and we all said at the time that felt like almost like a last chance for this era, because he'd been on the screen long enough that if people really were taken to this Doctor, you'd think that it would do well on Christmas Day. And actually, when we looked at the figures in the schedule, it actually didn't do that bad. But more on reflection, I think, when I thought about that afterwards, because if I'm going to be honest, I thought those viewing figures were going to be lower last Christmas.
So did I.
But actually, in the grand scheme, it actually did quite well. So that proved to me one main thing, which is people will watch Doctor Who at Christmas mainly because it's Doctor Who, I think. I don't think it was so much people were really up for watching a Shooty Christmas special, if I'm being honest. I think he just benefited from the slot a lot. And I think that is because as well, the Christmas specials have always had the benefit of being a condensed one-off story. That you don't have to know all the series stuff that's happened before. You don't have to follow like an arc if there has been one that series. You can just go, right, there's a Doctor, there's a TARDIS, there's some tinsel. And there's usually a guest star of some description, isn't there? That's the format. So yeah, I think there's enough love for Doctor Who as its own entity for them to sort of try to get the slot, keep this slot going. I think the problem is, do you sort of use that just to go, right, whatever happens, we're going to have a Christmas special at Christmas? Or do you go, which is what you're alluding to, which I sort of said, it's surely they're going to have to delay this last week. Do you sort of go, okay, if we really need to get certain people, if we really are struggling to book certain people, you have to sacrifice something, and the Christmas slot could be something that needs to be sacrificed in order to get the likes of possibly a Billy Piper if you can't for a good chunk of this year.
Because even though that was a press release last October, all we have is this graphics card. And is it unreasonable? Is it unreasonable? Is it reasonable, for us to hold them to this promise? I mean, it has been a long time since it was issued. We've had a long time to get used to the idea. The fact that according to Time Lord there speaking on X, that Russell was less than certain about this after all this time. We'll see, he told Ian. We'll see. Now, to the best of my knowledge, of the two things, of Christmas and Doctor Who, only one of them is unmovable. It's not Doctor Who. We can't move Christmas. So that period of time, that window of time, isn't going to get any shorter. So if it's one of the two things that's going to have to move, if there's something that could change in that respect, I think Russell is giving us an indicator there, or he certainly gave Ian an indicator that perhaps it is a possibility that this special won't air at Christmas after all, either due to some of the pressures that we spoke about on the last edition of the show, or others that we don't know about. I mean, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, Luke? As somebody who's grown up too with the Doctor Who Christmas special, does everything have its time, and has that connection been severed? Or do you agree with Charlotte that Joy to the World actually did quite well, so why not?
Yeah, and Joy to that Christmas Day as well was packed. You had Wallace and Gromit, Gavin and Stacey, so it was going up against some big shows, and Wallace and Gromit, Gavin and Stacey obviously smashed it out of the park. But it did fine. Like, it did better than what I thought it would. But yeah, I think Doctor Who and the BBC shed TV last year Christmas was absolute ass. Like, it was awful. TV at Christmas last year. So yeah, absolutely. Let's try. The BBC want a big thing. They want to prove that it's worth its license fee. Doctor Who is a family show. The family are all gathered around at Christmas. Why not? And I think when you look at like comments like Ian's there, I think context is king at this point. We don't know in what way Russell could have been. Well, we'll see. Or it could be, well, we'll see. I don't think Russell would really go out and give away, fuck the Christmas special. I don't think he did that way to someone he's just met. I'm sorry, Ian.
Ian has been a member. To be fair to Ian Time Lord, he's been a member of the Doctor Who community now for 40 years, and he's been on television.
I know.
So he's quite well known.
Yeah, right. I still think context is king here. Like at this point, I think
I'm with Luke on that.
David.
Yeah, I am so with Luke on that. Bearing in mind what he said in the last edition of Doctor Who magazine about, wouldn't it be great if we got to Christmas and nothing was spoiled? And this is the way that I'm viewing it. I always like to look at another side of it. So, and the problem with written communication, such as emails, Twitter, Facebook messages, WhatsApp messages, you name it, is that it often takes off. It doesn't allow for that body language to come through, like a twinkle in the eye or an enigmatic smile or we'll see, sort of thing.
Have you seen Russell T Davies lately? There's no enigmatic smiles anymore. This guy's completely lost the plot.
I mean, but to somebody like Ian, I think he would be who he would probably know was heavily involved. It would be kind, certainly, to him, and it very much. If you miss that twinkle, that's only there for a split second, and just concentrate on the words "we'll see," and "we'll see" could be "we'll see," or it could be "we'll see." It could be. It's all in the inflect. It's all how someone says it. It can be enigmatic. It can be defeatist. It can be positive. It can be all sorts of things. And the written word, without description, can change the whole meaning of "we'll see." And so I haven't got a Scooby. What's going on? And to be fair, I did message Luke last week or at the start of this week and said, would they do this? Could they do this as a sort of setup that the production office have been given a party line and they are desperately, beyond desperation, trying to keep it a secret? So because Russell has come out with this thing about not spoiling it for anybody and it being fresh and it being all this and the other. I'm not a fan of conspiracy theories. I really am not. They really drive me around the bend. However, could this be a line from the production office to sort of keep us in the dark? A sort of false narrative? Do you know? And I want to consider that for a moment. And I'm not sure if they would do it or not. I'm not sure what benefit that would give it or not. But it's a question I've been asking myself. And it's left me really, really unsure. So I wanted to bring that to the table today because I don't know how to feel about that.
Gary, when I see Russell T Davies in last year as well, in 2025 and into 2026, I don't see a genial ringmaster personality anymore. I see a man who is troubled, under pressure, having experienced a considerable failure, maybe the biggest failure of his career. I see him captured, ideologically captured, which I believe has compromised his intellectual stability and prowess that we were used to from before. And I also think it has robbed him. I think it's drained him of the kind of generosity and real inclusive kind of attitude that he had towards making this show and how he views it as a platform. All of those things are true, but I also see a man who's simply under a lot of stress and strain because all of these pressures are realistically of his own making. Yeah. The timeline too, the window, the commission, the date by which this must be delivered. He would have agreed to this to be able to put this together, to pull together all the strings to make simply one episode of television. But as we found out with the making of the last era, seasons 1 and 2, which were largely made back to back, there were several colossal, huge errors of judgment on a production level putting that thing together, which seriously impacted on its delivery, on its basic tangibility of being watchable, functional, fit for purpose television.
I know that for the most part, especially going by a lot of the stuff that he says, like in his talks and everything, that he operates on a different plane of reality. But I think it probably must have sunk into him at this point that he's not going to get out of this with no embarrassment. I think he realizes that there's going to be a certain amount of professional embarrassment with the way that all of this plays out. And for somebody who considers themselves, untouchable, that's probably very hard to deal with. I actually am not sure that he actually said, "We'll see." I think he probably said, "real cheap," in describing the Christmas special, because there's no Disney money now. And so he probably sounded like something that sounded like "we'll see," but it was something different than that. I think I just think he realized, look, he's made all these grandiose pronouncements, and now it's rare for him to be in the position of actually having to walk back a lot of what he said. I mean, don't you think?
Having to save face, to not necessarily admit that one was wrong, but consider the fact that you have had a serious failure, that the property that is in your care you have actually damaged rather than restored, to simply accept the facts of the matter and stop blaming other people and accept responsibility for this. I'm not inhuman, even as regards Russell T Davies. He's, as far as I'm concerned, he's misused this show. He's damaged it considerably, and the way he speaks to his audience now is unforgivable. I take great exception to that, but I'm not inhuman. I can see a man who's struggling, and I don't like anybody to be suffering. But I do think that it's a situation largely of his own making. And there's enough people around him, you would think that he would, because he said before as well that he boasted about the fact that nobody could tell him what to do, or that nobody could sort of intervene with his production process and his initiatives. And we talked about that at the time as being a dangerous place to be. And I think here we are again, where it is compromising this show at a time where it is on life support, whether he likes it or not, whether he can accept it or not. And it's not our fault. It's those awful, terrible fans who use that horrible hate site X. It's his frigging fault. And aside from the findings that we brought in the report last week, considering the cast, considering the script, Charlotte, other individuals that I've been speaking to over a period of several weeks now, from external to the production team, stretching out into the broader media, people are conscious of a concern in some quarters, not just that this Christmas special may not be ready for Christmas after all, kind of where Russell could be pointing in that quote, but considering, is that where it's best placed after all in 2026 and 2027? And what was mentioned to me a couple of times is that it could be partly due to a situation with another global streaming platform altogether, something that's out of the control of the remaining partners on Doctor Who completely, simply because times have moved on. In late March 2026, HBO Max announced their long-awaited Harry Potter TV series adaptation will premiere globally on Christmas Day 2026. Now, this is the premiere episode of a first season of what's planned as a 10-year production commitment to bring all of the Harry Potter books once again to the screen, to adapt them in a comprehensive way than was done for the big screen. And this is an initial 8-episode season called Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Obviously, they have a brand new cast, and we're starting to see some of the iconography now, some of the posters and carefully selected imagery from this series. And in some respects, you do wonder, did Harry Potter, did those books, did those movies, could they be a natural sort of cultural inheritor of a lot of the appeal of Doctor Who? We're now at a place where the original books, was it 7 books published by J.K. Rowling? They began the late 90s. So a generation of kids grew up reading those books, watching those films, and adults too. This is steeped in decades now of not just British culture. This is already a global thing. And what I'm hearing is that this production, gearing up and delivering on Christmas Day, could have spooked the partners on Doctor Who to know that HBO Max are launching this on Christmas Day. It'll be accessible through multiple services in the UK, and it's bound to escalate in profile between now and the holiday period at the end of the year. So I'm not a massive Harry Potter fan, never read the books, I love the films, but I am aware of the show. This could be the biggest TV series of all time, Luke, and launching it on Christmas Day, the simple fact is, could there be room for anything else? Because it seems to me that if families are going to make the time to watch one feature-length piece of genre television on Christmas Day, and that it's a toss-up between anything else and Harry Potter, it's kind of like the situation with Gavin and Stacey last year, or the Wallace and Gromit movie. There's always a clear winner, and I think people would, given the choice of the two, they'd probably go for Harry Potter. What do you think?
Not particularly. It's releasing on HBO Max, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a paid subscription service on a platform. So how many people in the UK are going to be forking out to go and pay for Harry Potter? As good as it is, it's going to be it's not going to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 million is going to be paying for it. So it could have the biggest launch on social media ever and people are loving it, but it's still going to be a finite audience compared to what's readily available to watch the BBC. And I think that family audience can do both, because Wallace and Gromit ended up having over 20 million. Gavin and Stacey added 19 million. They went out on the same day, so I don't see the issue with it, to be honest.
You know what? Here's a thought, and I don't know if this is any feasible. I mean, Luke and Dan, you could probably tell me, you know how broadcasting works. This may not be workable. I would actually, if I was HBO, I would almost want to do a deal with somebody like, say, BBC, for example. We'll give you the first episode to debut over the air simultaneously with HBO Max, and then an announcement at the end. If you want to continue the rest of the series, it will be available on HBO Max, which would totally drive subscribers to that. But then you give people a taste for free on BBC on Christmas Day or whatever, say, if you want more, and which would ensure that the ratings would be skyrocketing. And then it would drive, I don't know, is something like that even feasible if they wanted to do that?
Well, it's HBO with Sky, isn't they?
Yeah.
I was about to say, right now, you can technically access HBO if you've got a Sky subscription for pretty much for free. It's bundled in. So you don't have to, like, it's not like a Netflix, for example. At the moment, this could change because it's a very new deal, clearly, that they've just started. You don't have to. HBO Max is probably one of the easiest streamers right now in the UK to have without jumping through hoops, because you can literally, if you have a Sky account, and I think a good chunk of the UK public now have Sky, you can literally access HBO without having to set up a separate account, because that's what we've got in my house right now. So it's very easily done. But I get what Luke is saying, that the BBC is just there. It's more easy to watch. But and the other thing is, they're very different. I don't think the audience is a massive overlap, if I'm being honest.
We're 2 years on from Joy to the World and the Gavin and, or at least we will be by Christmas, from Joy to the World and the Gavin and Stacey special, and from the Wallace and Gromit film. And I believe that, based on the ratings for last Christmas, that the audience is very drastically ebbing away from terrestrial television, and the difference between television and streamers is shortening at a really quickening rate. Yet again, I had similar questions. The observations that Luke had made, I was not aware. I was aware that HBO Max had launched in Britain, and I was aware that Harry Potter would be with them. But again, I was of the belief that HBO Max was actually behind the equivalent of 2 paywalls and largely inaccessible in the way that aspects of Amazon Prime are. But when I went digging, I found out, you, Charlotte, you already know this because you're clearly a Sky customer. Yes. I didn't know this. So I went and researched this, and I found, sure enough, that between now, over the next few months, there is a considerable program going into play, which will probably escalate between now and Christmas, to mean that this HBO Max, and particularly Harry Potter, will be under everybody's noses and become synonymous with Christmas Day in exactly the same way that Wallace and Gromit movie was last year. What's happening is, because people I speak to have various different streamers. They either have satellite or cable television, and what I've noticed is that Sky TV, for example, they announced to all of their customers that, we're including Disney Plus now in your subscription for free. All of these deals, all of these bundles are all being packaged together with one another, stapled into something people already pay for on the surface for free. It's not for free. They'll be paying for it. And these things, we all pay for it eventually. There's no such thing as a free lunch. And as I see it, the shape that this is taking, their arrangement with HBO Max, is starting to look, the shape of it is very, very similar. For example, Now Entertainment, which is Sky's sort of free-to-air service, David, they have been upgraded now, so they can get access to HBO Max as well for some content. There's various options to log in via apps. EETV also have now bundled in with that. So for customers of EE, the communications service, So all of these things are kind of like how it was with Disney Plus, one rolling into another, which is growing the potential audience, not just for the Harry Potter TV show, but for the entirety of HBO Max, to the place where they could be conceivably a formidable player in British television. After all, I do think that could change things quite a lot. If it's just at the push of a button and people see it on the menu on an EPG, I think a lot of people are going to be watching that, particularly as it's a catch-up show that they can watch whenever they want on that day. Whereas Doctor Who potentially, presumably, would look to screen at 6 p.m. and it's you can watch it on iPlayer afterwards, but you're not going to be able to. I find it hard to believe that if it is still on Christmas Day, that they would allow people to see it before, because we know how much those iPlayer views are crucially important to them to get that sort of initial boost. Gary, what are your thoughts on this? Because obviously this is our TV landscape.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you guys are the experts in terms of the trends over the years in terms of how all the channels have programmed Christmas. The only thing that I was thinking is that, okay, so if Sky/HBO is going to have basically the monopoly in terms of must-see TV on that day with Harry Potter, it seems to me then that the BBC execs would sit down and say, whatever we program on Christmas, no matter what it is, has to be, this can't be like our A game. This has to be our A+ game. You know, we need something on the level of another Wallace and Gromit, or the finale of a show like Gavin and Stacey. It's like, if it's not like the tip top, we can move it after Christmas. You know what I mean? Where it's like Christmas has got to be, they've got to provide a lineup, it seems to me, where people won't want to turn away even for a minute, you know, from whatever that viewing window is on Christmas. They've got to put the best of the best. And I'm sorry to say that I can't really see, if that's the case, if that's their criteria, I can't see that whatever kind of, at this point, as of today, whatever kind of desperation play Russell comes up with would fit in that window, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, Gary, and I think the problem is, you need, for this Doctor Who special, it needs to have a big hook. It needs to have either a star or a big story beat that can sort of cut through all the noise, get the general public who haven't really cared for Doctor Who for a good amount of time to watch it. Billy, if she's in that special come Christmas, I think there's a chance Billy could do that, because she's just such a recognisable actress now, and I think the fan base has got an absolute love for her character still. I think she's one of the new Who companions which has kept that sort of fan base even throughout the years. But if you haven't potentially got a Billy because of scheduling issues, what are you left with that can be that knockout star power?
Yeah.
And I think they would struggle, honestly, now. I think if you could get a Matt Smith, for example, and this is just me throwing out ideas, I don't know, but I think Matt could do that, definitely, because he's never come back to the show. His Doctor's just getting more and more popular. He's now got a lot of big Hollywood stuff. He's a big name in the States than he was when he was doing Doctor Who, even though, like we said, his Doctor was sort of the star of America, embracing it. Matt could do that, but once again, he would be really hard to get booked, just like the situation you said about last week with Billy and David. So then what other Doctors have you got left? If you need to bring a Doctor back to get eyeballs, basically, to counter something like a Harry Potter. And I think they would struggle, and because I was like chatting with some people once last week, the stream went out, and we were like, oh, what about this person? What about this person? And there were people that we all said we would love to see on screen again. Like, somebody said to me, what about Caroline Ford? I said, oh, wouldn't that be lovely to have Susan? And then I thought, give her like a Peter Purvis or like a Maureen O'Brien as well, and have a proper First Doctor feel again. But is that going to get the general public? is that going to compete with like a Harry Potter?
No.
I think that's the issue they've got right now with this special. It's trying to cut through noise, and if they've got a big competitor, when it comes to just IP, like I said, I don't think the audience is as much of a strict crossover, but just as a big IP, Potter is still massive. Last
but also
year,
it's
I was just going to say
it's oh, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, it proved it not that long ago that Hogwarts Legacy, a game, launched with massive sales. And that wasn't even, that was a completely new story in the Harry Potter universe. It was nothing to do with the books, but it had the Harry Potter name, it had Hogwarts, and people bought that game. So the name's still very strong, is my point. That's what they're competing with.
I would argue that I accept that people would feel differently about this. From my perception, the crossover audience for Harry Potter and Doctor Who is absolutely huge. The family audience, you got Doctor Who was television that potentially 3 or 4, I can't remember who first said this, 3 or 4 generations of the same family can watch Doctor Who on different levels. And I think that's the same with Harry Potter, whether it was in print or at the cinema. And presumably this could happen again on television. Exactly the same combinations of people watching it for different reasons and then talking about it all together. And if they can enjoy it all on Christmas Day together, the launch of it be there for something which could potentially be the biggest TV series of all time, then I can see this having real legs. The Doctor Who ties to Harry Potter, of course, they are there. David Tennant, I mean, we see that clip of David Tennant. He was in the one movie, wasn't he, for about 5 minutes, David? I can't remember who he played. Was it Barty Crouch?
Barty Crouch Jr.
Barty Crouch Jr.
Yeah. He got to sort of bare his teeth and sort of run around and pant a lot, didn't he? It was a lot of fun. David Bradley was there, synonymous with this film series to a far greater extent, I feel. I mean, that's a great part. He looks like he's been kipping in that TARDIS covered in green gunk and all overgrown trees, doesn't he, David? I mean, what are your thoughts, David? Are you a Harry Potter guy? What do you think about the potential crossover audience, just generally speaking? And we talk quite often about how, Doctor Who needs a rest. Does Doctor Who just need to take an extended rest for something to maybe fill its seat, to keep its seat warm for between 5 or 10 years, and accept that maybe it's the turn for something else, and sit out any conflict potentially between itself and a crucial special and the launch of a series which already has a built-in audience and a real appetite globally?
Oh, a lot going on in those questions. Right. Yes, I have read all the Harry Potter books. Yes, I've listened to the audio books narrated by Stephen Fry. Yes, I've seen all the films. My daughter is huge for Harry Potter. So I've been to Harry Potter Studios twice. So one could say is that I do know quite a lot about. I am very familiar with Harry Potter lore. Is there a huge crossover? There is some crossover. Is there a potential for a huge clash? I don't think so. I think those who really want to watch Harry Potter on Christmas Day, who are really, really, really excited about it, will watch it as soon as it comes out. And will be going, oh my God, it's come out. I've got to watch it. When's it coming on? Bang. Right, okay. It's like the people who have to go and see the Star Wars release at 1 minute past midnight in the cinema. Okay, there are those who are like that for Doctor Who releases in the cinema too.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So you've got your ultra fans. When it comes down to Christmas Day viewing, I'm old enough and ugly enough now to have experienced lots of Christmas Day viewings, and been in a number of situations with lots of different people whereby one channel gets put on the telly, okay, at a time of day. All the presents have been opened, lunch or dinner, whatever you want to call it, being cooked, okay. Everybody's at that state of, oh, God's sake, I'm so hungry. That gave us some more chocolates. So everybody then eats loads of chocolate or oranges, satsumas or walnuts, and you get to that. Some people start drinking the channel on the telly stays on, and it just is in the background.
Yeah.
Okay, all day. And you can go, oh, right, yes, Morecambe and Wise again.
It's actually, David, is that still the case now? Because it was in my childhood, but reflecting on my life now with when my children, when they come back over Christmas and New Year, and we generally spend it at my mother's that whole period, or their grandparents. That doesn't happen in the way that it used to. There are things like, there's no way my mother would ever miss Strictly, for example, even into her 80s, always strict. So there are still those things, but that instinct to leave the television on, somehow, I'm not sure when that stopped. I'm not rightly sure, but I think it may have changed.
It may have changed with some, but the vast majority, it stays on. Okay, then there's lunch, and everybody sort of like has to have formerly the Queen, now the King's speech on, and that goes on in the background. We have that, and then all this, then people will have a nap because of either eaten or drunk too much, or both. And then it'll be that, what time is Call the Midwife on? What time is that James Bond film on ITV? What time is Strictly? What time is Gavin and Stacey on? What time is this on? What time is Wallace and Gromit on? And because Christmas Day is very much, for a lot of people, not all, family oriented, and it's the least. It's generally one of the days that if you monitor your steps and are at home, it is the least amount of steps you do in a day, with the most calorific intake that you have in the year. And there are some people, we once did it for a laugh, where we had the weighing scales out, and we weighed ourselves as the day went on to see how much weight we'd put on, because of the amount we were eating and drinking. And I wasn't eating and drinking a lot, I have to say, because I then had to go to work.
As Mr. Stats, that's the most David Milling thing I think I've ever heard you've say. Extraordinary.
But the final thing is, I don't think it's an issue. I don't think people have got spooked, because let's not forget, about Christmas this year as well. Because Christmas Day is on a Friday, that means the Saturday bank holiday for Boxing Day will be shifted to the Monday. So that means a long weekend with people, for a lot of people. And we all have discussed previously about that week between Christmas Day and New Year's Day. And it's going to, New Year, because New Year's Day is going to be on a Friday. That means people won't be going back to work for a lot of the time till the Monday. So there is a lot of time to watch and fill your time with box sets, because you go into that weird week where nobody knows what day it is. Nobody knows what day it is. Where are we? What do we do now that we've all?
That is definitely true, David. But it's also true that the interest in people who follow media, who follow television, and particularly the people who follow Doctor Who, is that they watch for whether it's Christmas Day. The Doctor Who community doesn't take a day off for Christmas Day. If there are overnight ratings to be published, they're going to jump all over all of those, and we know that they still matter to the BBC. And what's that culture? I love all of that stuff. I've grown to love that period, and it is a reality. The world that you describe, it is like we all slip into a parallel dimension. But these kind of rules and the gathering of metrics, the harvesting of stats and figures, that still continues, and the same pressures, I think remain. I find this really interesting to think about, because I can see whereby in the news cycle and in the people have only got so much attention, how the spotlight could be very easily jolted away from a show like Doctor Who, which is on its uppers. You could say it's on its last legs in terms of an exhausted appeal with the British public. the Harry Potter series does contain more Doctor Who sort of associates, familiars, including Nick Frost, who was Santa, wasn't he, with Peter Capaldi 10, 12 years ago now. There he is as Hagrid, inheriting the role originally played by Robbie Coltrane in the movie series. He very much looks the part. I loved it when he played Santa in Doctor Who. I'd love to see him do that again. So there's that connection. There's lots of other actors. Warwick Davis is in the new series, just as he was in the films. But with what little that we have seen of this so far, I don't know. I just get a hint of not just the literal, the magic of the story, the inherent magic in a story about a little wizard and all his various mates and all the stuff they get up to. I don't know. I think this is potentially going to be absolutely huge. I think this will be the thing that everybody's talking about over Christmas, however they watch it. And so, yeah, I do think this stands a chance of dwarfing Doctor Who. When you look at the stars that are involved as well, actors like John Lithgow, who's playing Dumbledore in this. So I've sort of expected that this could be a reality, Gary, as somebody who follows genre fiction and realizes that I just think that there is still, even at Christmas, there's still only so much attention people have got.
Well, here's the thing, just two quick thoughts. One is that it's not just what happens on the day of. It's not just the habits of Christmas Day. All of you are going to be assaulted with promotions for this show for the entire month of December. So that's going to be all you're going to hear about every single day for like a whole month leading up to this show. So
Gary, Harry Potter's had the head start on this. I mean, I don't want to fixate too much on Harry Potter because there'll be other shows as well. But I thought this was when this was mentioned, I thought, God, I hadn't thought of that. But the publicity for this has already started.
Yes, there you go.
Put together making of specials, which a lot of people have watched those things. A lot of people have seen the trailers. People are coming to this.
Yeah, FOMO is going to drive a huge amount of this. I mean, not only the kids who are already Harry Potter fans, but this is like, I have to watch Harry Potter. I've never been a fan before, but it's all the entire country's talking about, so I have to watch it. And that's like that's the FOMO, fear of missing out, that's going to like drive a lot of this too. So there's a lot of factors that if the BBC really wants to be competitive in terms of whatever they come up with for Doctor Who, I look forward to seeing what they come up with that they think is going to be actually competitive with this.
Yeah,
Go on, Charlotte, sorry.
I was just going to say in general, just here's the other thing. If possibly delaying this special creates a better quality show, if it actually helps it, I will always want Doctor Who to be the best it can on screen. So if something has to give, and if Russell is having all these potential issues with, I can't get my stars, I can't do this, and he's like desperately trying to get it done by this deadline, and because of that, we get something that isn't actually quality-wise what it should be, a delay is possibly the best thing that could, if that's what the circumstances demand, could actually be a good thing.
I think the events are conspiring against this special for one reason or another, and yeah, it's nobody's fault but Russell T Davies, as far as I'm concerned. He's responsible for all of this, but it's a reality nonetheless, and I'm wondering which road they'll go down. I did look at this from another angle. Partly because of something that you said to me, Luke, or something that you made, I should say. I saw one of your shorts, one of your YouTube shorts, where you talked about, don't hide your face, they're getting all shy now. Look at it. So I was listening to one of your YouTube shorts and considering something that you and I had spoken about before. I thought, well, this needn't actually be seen as a bad thing. And you mentioned, somebody mentioned the Barbie movie earlier on, and I thought, well, that's what they could do. If they really wanted to go sort of head to head, they could not look at it as competition, but look at it as a sort of partnership. This year, for example, on the same date, we have the release on the 18th of December of both the film Doomsday, the new Avengers movie, and a third Dune film, the epic conclusion, Dune Part 3, both released on the same day, one from Marvel Studios, one from Legendary Pictures. Both has a considerable crossover in appeal with their target audience. And rather than any of these studios pull their movie away from that slot to avoid a clash with the other, they're actually kind of leaning into it now as the year progresses. And the fans are all on board for this. It's got that kind of Barbieheimer vibe to it, whereby people are making it an event that you can actually do the two. And so we've got fan-made posters popping up for what they're calling Dunes Day all over the internet. People are really running with this. The idea that, yeah, you can double bank these things. And why view it as competition when it can actually, they could complement one another. And this could all be part of the fun. This could all be part of the fun too. That you can go and spend the whole day in the cinema. Of course, it's different going to the cinema where you can pay your ticket money. You know, you don't have to take your whole family. You go more often than not. You go with your mates, people who share your interests. It'll be a harder sell on Christmas Day if some of your family, Charlotte, aren't geeks, saying you're going to spend 2.5 hours watching genre content, might be a tougher sell. But I actually think the principle of this, that if you wanted to keep it fixed at Christmas, and maybe if there is an element of sort of being conscious of the competition for attention, then perhaps go the other way and lean right into it. Have a wizard time with Doctor Who. The Doctor Who magic is back. I don't know, something stupid, something cute and stupid like that.
I think it's with the like you said, the Barbie and Oppenheimer thing worked because they were so different movies. Like the topic area, that who was making them, just the promotion was so different that weirdly it was, like you said, it was like, oh, what are you going to see? And then that fed into each other. With Dune and Avengers, I see it's not as much of a stark difference because, like I said, they're both genre. Like one's comic book, one's heavy sci-fi. And then with Harry Potter and Doctor Who, I think one is very much in the fantasy realm and one sort of plays with fantasy. Doctor Who, I've always said, even back in, if you're watching classic, you had your stories which weren't hard sci-fi. You had the ones which were a bit more out there with the concept. So I think it utterly depends on whether the audiences want this sort of thing to work, is what I'm getting at. And I think that's, you can't force it. There we go. I eventually got to my point. You can't force it. And I think it has to become natural that it's just sort of this thing that the fans, like you say, make. And so it'll be utterly up to the fans whether that could possibly happen, I feel like.
What do you think, Luke? I mean, could this actually be something that's viable as well? So a cross-pollination and to cross-promote and have some fun with that. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, massive. And I was a big fan of Barbenheimer and the publicity band. I thought it was great. I thought this Doomsday one is very stupid because you're very much splitting the audience because it's a big crossover between sci-fi and Marvel. Where Barbie and Oppenheimer, you had your Chris Nolan fans. I was going to say your nuclear bomb fans. Yeah, but you had no,
it was a fan of nucleoid war.
No, but you had
your Threads fans. Yeah,
but it was very male centric versus female centric, and it split the theaters, and it was it was good for cinema. But for Doomsday, it's kind of you're splitting the same audience instead of bringing two different audiences together. Harry Potter there is a big crossover between Harry Potter fans and Doctor Who fans. I think, personally, I thought Hogwarts Legacy was great, by the way, Charlotte. Absolutely loved that game.
Oh, I loved it as well.
It's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. I still haven't finished the broomstick missions. They really annoy me. Yeah, but I think it is a bit. Oh, they're so annoying. But there is a big crossover between them. The only thing is, though, this is on HBO Max. Yes, people says it is on Sky. It is going to have a lot of publicity. HBO Max isn't, as far as I'm aware, it isn't a channel now, and it is just a streaming service that's available on Sky.
You can't watch it analog style.
So this could drop at like 9 o'clock in the morning, like the finale of Boys. I watched the finale of Good Omens yesterday. I watch it when I want to watch it. If mum and dad are busy and they were like, oh, the kid wants to watch Harry Potter, they can just shove Harry Potter on at 10, 12 o'clock. When you know what it was like when Doctor Who was streaming on Disney Plus or BBC, sorry, when it was dropping at midnight or 6 o'clock in the morning or wherever it was, people were watching it in their own time. So I think this could kind of have the same effect on Christmas Day, where it's not kind of 7 o'clock, we're watching HBO Max, it's out then. It's like, oh, cool, we could just watch it in the morning, put it on in the afternoon with dinner, and then we're like, right, okay, cool, Doctor Who's on 7 o'clock. And obviously, yeah, the Gavin and Stacey and Wallace and Gromit thing proves that you can have two big shows very close together and have a massive audience for it. Do I think Doctor Who's going to have a massive audience? No, I don't. I think it'll do reasonably well. I do think Billie Piper will pop up in it. But that's just me. Even though I've heard very contrarian reports, I just think it's a bit mad if she doesn't. But
there's a long time. There's a long time between now and then.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it will have enough of a pull that people will want to. I think people will just want to watch it out of curiosity to see how they get themselves out of trouble. Or how they get themselves out of explaining Billie Piper. So it might have a little bump from that. But I think, I think it will. I think it'll do well. Can you lean into the marketing and do it? Absolutely. Will the BBC want to do it? I doubt it, but BBC socials seem very up and very apt on everything right now, current trend wise. So they may do it that way.
Better than I get the impression that the BBC are better than they were on this sort of thing. I understand that a lot of the social media accounts for stuff like Doctor Who or The Traitors are handled by people external to the corporation and to studios. So maybe that's why they just seem a little bit more on the ball as regards trends and the language that people use, certainly more so than I am. So I think that they probably, would they take advice from people like that? I don't know. Maybe things could change in that respect, but whether the television, because obviously there's still that marriage between analog television, terrestrial television and the way that it's delivered and carried in an analog way. There's still that marriage between one thing and the other that for now is unbreakable in a way that you're quite right. People can just call up something on HBO Max or Disney Plus or whatever, and they can kick it off whenever they need to. BBC One are still where they are for the time being, despite the iPlayer definitely is taking over, but it's going at a snail's pace.
There is also another important point that we need to remember. Okay. In the fact that there will be, HBO is a streaming service, okay, which requires Wi-Fi. And normally on Christmas Day, having had children myself, there is a large amount of people who would probably be on their latest Xbox /PS5 everything like that, which requires quite a chunk of Wi-Fi. And generally, if you've got Sky, not Sky Glass, but Sky or Now TV or anything like that. So if you've got Sky Glass, Now TV, something like that, that is also a streaming service. And if everybody's on their Wi-Fi, for example, you might not be able to stream what you want to be on the TV. So you may be forced to the more terrestrial channels that may not require Wi-Fi because little Johnny and little Jane are on their games consoles taking up all the Wi-Fi rather than watching HBO Max and Harry Potter at that specific time. So there is also that. So I fall in with Luke here. With respect to the fact that I don't think it will make that much of a difference. And what you were saying, Luke, about how people will watch it, the last two series of Doctor Who, how people consume them, was dramatically different due to the fact that they could watch the show at any time from when it dropped. I mean, likewise, I would watch it at any time during Saturday. Very, very rarely. In fact, the only show I ever watched live was the finale when it was.
They did. They adjusted that. They did adjust that in between seasons, didn't they, Charlotte?
Yeah.
As David was saying, there's a lot of time between now and then, and things evolve really, really quickly now. You're a Sky customer. I'm really glad you brought that up because I'd got the breakdown of the information and I still wasn't quite sure at what tier people could access it. But as all this talk of Christmas, Charlotte, before you go, as all this talk of Christmas, has this made you think, oh, please shut up, Dan, don't bother me with Christmas. I've got months and months and months of that to go. You just want to put it out of your mind for the time being. Now we've got this all comprehensively covered.
Well, I think we're in this mode of speculation, and I think we're going to be in this mode for a while yet, because we've said this. There's no sign from the BBC yet. There's no sign from Russell or anybody with enough power in the production team that they really want to talk about this special. So it has left fans to sort of go, oh, well, but what about this? What about that? And I think just for in the next couple months, they need to start, obviously, they don't need to give us everything, and I'm not expecting a trailer anytime soon, but I think just give us a little bit of something, just so we can sort of know a little bit of shape. I think that's the problem. We've got nothing beyond that graphic of a TARDIS. And what like I said, Billy was the only other thing we sort of had as an anchor. So I'm hoping once they start to hopefully know what's happening, they give us a little bit of something. I understand Russell, like people said, he's put out, what if nobody knew anything? But there needs to be something out there, I think, soon, or just this speculation, rumour, it's just going to keep going, and more people are just going to sort of... There's a real risk of disappointment. I think that's what the issue is here, if I'm going to be honest. For certain things that people want to see or really are getting potentially excited about when it comes to this special. So we shall see. I think it's all very up in the air. I think that's the best way to describe just Doctor Who at the moment. And we'll just sort of roll with the punches in every sense of the word. It's been lovely, again, like we always do. But it's been lovely to chat with you and our lovely people in our chat, and we'll see what comes to us next week.
The sage words of Charlotte Shields, as always. Charlotte. Good night. Good night, Charlotte. But these are the words of Russell T Davies. We'll always look ahead to the future. If we get the chance to keep running, I've got ideas, said Russell sometime in 2025. Got a few ideas.
Well, he better hope he does.
Mate, yeah. Let's take a look at the live chat and see what they make of all of this, whether there's any Harry Potter fans in the live chat and how they've got on with that Hogwarts Legacy game. If they've got any better than Luke has in that Quidditch round, whatever that was. Yes.
Hello. I'm Philip Roy, playing the Doctor in the Doctor Who fan film Doctor Who Meets the Scorpion. I've been on quite an adventure, and this is most definitely the Type 40 podcast.
Christmas. Leave us alone, Dan, for crying out loud. What are you trying to do? Only May, what are you talking about, man? Terrestrial television in this country is finished, according to Bill Silver. That's a very hard line, Bill. He's out. He's out. I think it is for some. It's a change. Things are changing, as we have to acknowledge. HBO Max, according to Stephen Braddock, is now free with Sky, and that may help its viewing.
It will.
He's co-signing what Charlotte said. Oh, more Harry Potter, said James Fitzpatrick. He's not feeling it. And Funky says, 10 seasons of Harry Potter will take decades to complete. Well, they plan on making, I think, 7 seasons, 1 for each book, and they imagine it will take a full 10 years to. Yeah, I think that's kind of optimistic, Gary. I suspect that it probably will be 10 to 12 years, something like that.
I mean, look how long it takes these days for the genre shows we've had the last few years. It's like 1 season every 2 to 3 years. So,
well, I think they're shooting. They're shooting season 1 and 2 back to back, and then I think shooting season 1 and 2 back to back. Then I think they're having a little break for a year or two by the time, because they got time. For series 3, because obviously the kids need to grow up as well.
Exactly, they're gonna have the same problem Stranger Things had, where it's you've got to shoot these things as quickly as you can.
Yeah, but also they need the kids to grow up in between as well, because you can't have a 10-year-old in Prisoner of Azkaban. Jeez. A great movie.
And they really should have used the Christmas special as a relaunch, says Farsight. And Peter Venkman says, Gatwa in the background while passed out. Weird dreams ensue. What on earth are you talking about? The pubs are still open, so that could account for that one. As long as you're having a good time, Pete.
He's on that Wetherspoons tour.
Go for it. I am your servant. Said there's no party like a milling party, and says that. Stephen O'Neill says to you, David, the days of the families gathering around the telly on Christmas Day are coming to an end, according to Stephen O'Neill. I think they are for some faster than others. I think they're morphing. David, you mentioned gaming. I think that people also jump on the game console together, or they all play Guitar Hero, or I bet Guitar Hero isn't a thing anymore. But it's the equivalent. I'm not a gamer, but the equivalent thereof. I can see people doing that in the way that everybody used to play charades or Connect 4 or Twister, that kind of thing.
Stephen, you're mistaking what I'm saying. We do all that, but the telly is on in the background. And it's there on, okay? So we might be playing board games, we might be chatting, we might be syncing a few, but there are several parts of the day whereby attention turns to the telly and then goes back again, but it's on in the background, okay? So I never said that families would gather around the telly. I would say it was on in the background, and it just generally stays on one channel, okay? And that's what I was saying. So people don't gather around. The people are doing everything else, and it's just on in the background. It's one of the only days whereby it is on in the background.
I just thought of something. I just thought of something. They should see if Billy's free on Saturday, and just RTD can write up a quick sketch for Saturday Night Live and just wrap up the whole thing there.
Yeah.
Judy's there. Get Billy on for 5 minutes. Say, hey, do you have 3 minutes on Saturday, Billy? Have her come in, wrap up the RTD era on Saturday Night Live.
I'm sure she'd do anything for a meal deal and a refill of a vape. That could be good. Could be good.
Triple mango.
Woodhouse 122 says, I usually have Disney Plus at Christmas and binge on stuff I've missed during the year rather than subscribe for a full year. That's a tip from the top there from Woodhouse 122. How to game Disney Plus in your favour. Davey is excited about talk of bringing back Hustle. What? This is the Hustle Live. We're not bringing. So Adrian Lester, fabulous actor Adrian Lester, he'd been so great as the Doctor, and he really wanted the part. So Adrian Lester in talks about bringing back Hustle. Probably won't, but that's entertainment drama. Bring back Hustle, I say, and Spooks, all that stuff. Bring it back. Ian Scale says the Harry Potter films are still so iconic. I will give the series a go and good luck to it, but it's stepping into big shoes. Well, not that big. They're very little. We've seen children's sizes. They're very, very small indeed. But I know what you mean. And whereas
Matt Smith's rumoured to be Voldemort as well. How cool is that? That'd be well good.
Really? Matt Smith is Voldemort?
Well, he's
Apparently
great in House of the Dragon. He's terrific in that. And that's a HBO show. So the more Matt Smith, the better, as far as I'm concerned. If we can't have him back as Doctor Who, get a big star to play the Doctor for a one-off Christmas special against Philip Roy.
Yeah, good suggestion.
He wants it big time. We're going into the Saints now, and all of we've got to keep this on topic. Come on, help me out, people. Help me out. I want to go to David Milling's house for Christmas, says Ian Scales.
There you go.
You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome, Ian.
David will be posting his address in the comments after the show.
As long as you can play Boggle, then I don't. As long as you can play
Everybody's
Boggle,
invited.
Yeah, the Trivial Pursuit, you'll have to beat me. I'm the king of Trivial Pursuit. So there you go.
He has no idea, says Matthew Pounder. I think that he is Russell T. Davis. Yeah. And Stephen O'Neill suggests that we're probably going to get a lot of repeats of Capaldi and Matt Smith episodes all over Christmas. Probably will, but again, that's on a subsidiary channel. It's not the same thing. People comparing experiences, watching the last couple of years worth of Doctor Who, which we've been doing since they were on, of course, as well as comparing whether they're going to be watching the Eurovision Song Contest or not. I mean, that's it's your life. That's all I can say. It's your life. Woodhouse 122 says I think fiber broadband that most people have will allow Xbox and streaming at the same time. It depends how many Xboxes you've got. I would imagine some people have 2 or 3, don't they? It's a thing.
Yeah, and it depends, and if everybody's like, and if you got a house full, and I don't mean a house full to be 25, but if you've got six between 6 and 10 people, they're all connected to the Wi-Fi. They're all going to be on social media. They're all going to be taking photos and posting and watching silly videos. And then if you've got 2 or 3 people on 2 or 3 different Xboxes, then you'll find that your bandwidth is, as we've experienced before on fiber broadband, you'll find that your bandwidth is extremely limited when all the rest of the street are on it as well. So it has an effect. Okay, it has an effect.
We've seen his ideas and we don't want them, says Pete Venkman. And
I'd like to
says,
see his crazy ideas. I really would.
I think we've seen enough. I remember when they delayed the first Jodie special till New Year. I ended up watching a Blu-ray of Earthshock on Christmas
There you
Day.
go.
Well, that was a decision by Chris Chibnall, an active, purposeful decision on his part. He wanted to move the show away from Christmas Day completely for a raft of silly reasons, out of cowardice, really, as far as I could see. And that has significantly damaged, again, the profile of the show, the public's connection with it on Christmas Day. But they were close to getting it back, I feel. If George of the World had been good, I think that could have potentially have done the trick, because the Church on Ruby Road, I think that held up its end of the bargain. I think that was a middling Christmas special, but people were happy to have it back and were willing to go with it and to see whether the new guy worked out or not. But let's just 12 months later, I mean, it was in such a state. But
Skyfall was originally meant to be a Christmas special.
Wait, what?
Skyfall was originally meant to be a Christmas special. Part 1 would have went out on Christmas. Part 2 would have went out on New Year's Day originally. So the BBC said absolutely not. And
you know what, Dan? You mentioned Church on Ruby Road. Maybe that's what Russia should do. Just have like an all goblin Christmas special.
To be fair, I'd watch the shit out of that.
Yeah, I would too.
He's the Goblin King.
They didn't do that with Spyfall, because, in all fairness, that cliffhanger to the first episode of Spyfall was fantastic. I mean, even though it was amazing. It was a retread of what we'd had before. But it had been 10 or 12 years, so it was a decent cliffhanger. That would have helped them a lot. A lack of vision there, lack of bravery with the station controllers or the controller of drama, I think. And more people are going with the Saturday Night Live UK regeneration idea to get a regeneration sequence film there. David, people are running with that.
There you go.
There's a certain amount of enthusiasm for the Harry Potter TV show, and skepticism as well from some of the older ones who are just sick of seeing stuff that gets remade. And I agree to some degree, but it's been 25 years since those Harry Potter films were made. It's a long time. I think us older ones, we forget. To younger ones, 25 years is a lifetime. To me, it seems like a fortnight ago sometimes, Gary.
Well, there's a lot of different, obviously, I mean, they have a huge amount of options for how they can promote the show. They can promote it that it's actually a TV series versus a movie. As you said, Dan, they'll be adapting the books in full, which the movies didn't do. There's a whole raft of options they have for generating excitement for that show.
Who knows?
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, that's right, Gary, because there was a huge appetite when the films came out to see those scenes that were in the book, for that specific film, but not necessarily in the film. So because there was as you can imagine, there had to be quite a lot that was trimmed down.
If you think you've seen all of Harry Potter, you're wrong, or you haven't seen anything yet, that's something like that. Yeah,
definitely. There's people are very into the idea of having. Well, I don't fit into the idea, but I do see this concept continually brought up. Bill Silver's mentioned it in the live chat. Employing actors to deliberately play the Doctor just once in one episode and then moving it on with another actor and another actor and another actor. I'm just so sick to the back teeth of gimmickry. when it comes to Doctor Who. I yearn for the days, I long for the days where they would just furnish 2 or 3 actors with a really great script and get them to go out there for 12 weeks on the bounce and entertain the nation. It's really that simple. Doctor Who doesn't need any more gimmicks. It just needs decent scripts, a reasonable, not high budget, a reasonable budget, some good promotion, and a good pure heart. That's really all it needs. They're in short supply, generally speaking, at the moment, not least of all when you look to the big fella here. This guy really needs to get his head out of the sand. I'll be polite, out of the sand. And I would imagine that right now he's deep rewriting or writing or bashing something together, and we'll see where we are in a few months' time. The story will continue. The situation will change. It may have changed by now. It's quite likely it has changed by now. But these stories within the press releases, the speculation, is a massive part of the Doctor Who community, the Doctor Who universe. We haven't invented it in this last couple of weeks here on Type 40, and it'll definitely continue between now and then. Looking at the small screen incarnation of Harry Potter, that kicks off Christmas Day 2026 over on HBO Max. So a premiere on the Friday, on the Christmas Day, and then each episode will drop on subsequent Sundays. That's their big day for dropping new television, so I'm told. Where that leaves Doctor Who and this Christmas special, who knows? Will they pull it back, or will they go all in and fasten it, exploit that target audience that the two things share? After all, it could work out in their favour if they take a gamble and maybe be bold with Doctor Who, properly bold, in a way that they haven't been for a long, long time. Or are they just better off? Russell sounds quite defeated, according to a friend of the show, Time Lord. Maybe it could be time to just forget it for the time being. Let us know what you think in the comments section. If you have limited screen time on Christmas Day, if you're fighting for the remote or the bandwidth, as David was saying there, between Xboxes and the internet and Spotify and everything else, what would you go for? Harry Potter or a final Doctor Who from Russell T. Davies? We'll leave that with you. We'll see you in the comments with that.
Hello, this is Sue Molden. On behalf of the team, I'd like to say how overwhelmed and extremely grateful we are to everyone who has donated so far. The response has been magnificent, and we are especially grateful to those who have pledged regular donations. A big thank you from all of us at Film is Fabulous.
What was all that about? I don't know.
I do want to offer the BBC another option that all of us are free for the Type 40 live Doctor Who Christmas Jubilee if they decide to go down that route.
Gary, my hourly rates are very reasonable.
Yes.
I haven't got much of a rider.
We could film it at David's house.
Yeah. As long as you don't mind playing Boggle, then that's fine.
And Luke can direct it.
Yeah.
Googling Boggle now.
Yeah, Boggle it's a great game. It's very entertaining. And we'll finish off with the game of Gin Rummy, all right?
I haven't thought about that in years.
I go down the pub on Christmas Day. You find me.
Why not?
Christmas morning, straight down the pub. What a time to be alive.
Scampy fries?
Nah, about 2 or 3 pints of Guinness, a couple of games of pool, nice cigar, and then down for Christmas dinner.
I bet he rolls out of bed. I bet he goes in his hoodie. Just whacks the old Christmas hat on. Maybe a bit of tinsel around his neck, and he's good to go.
I don't see Luke. Luke, would you wear that? Would you wear that to the pub?
No. I wear a Christmas jumper.
Okay.
Do you drink Advocar for the rest of the day?
No, I just drink whatever's available.
Give Grandma.
If it's green, he'll drink it.
Yeah, make Grandma a snowball. The study on Grandma. That's a fourth.
Love a snowball.
That's a study on Grandma. That's the fourth snowball you've had today. Stay off the baby sham, Grandma. Sort of thing.
Yeah.
Tell you
yeah.
what,
But,
me and Mr. Carley wrote in Liverpool last week, and he had an apple and cinnamon custard stout thing. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever drunk in my life.
Oh, I've heard of
yeah.
Guinness and black. I've heard of Guinness and blackcurrant, but I like
it was made with
blackcurrant.
It was made with ice cream, and it tasted like you were eating like an apple crumble, but it was a drink and alcoholic, very alcoholic. It was very good. Very, very good.
No custard.
This has been so much fun, but it's it's only meant that it's more procrastination for me, in that I've still got all this shit to clean up. So I better get to it and wrap up the show. I think we've got a comment here from Matthew Pounder. I'd rather Russell type up his resignation. There we are.
From your lips, Matthew.
Just screen that for 60 minutes.
How about Matthew? How about this? Type up an epic resignation letter and just read it during the slot for an hour on television. I'd watch the heck out of that.
In Matthew's head, Russell is the villain in every story. I'm getting
you see, I'd like to see Russell as Barusa. I think he'd make a good Barusa.
He would be fabulous. He'd be brilliant.
He would be a brilliant Barusa.
And then his head would be on the little stone thing, just like at the end of the Five Doctors at the end.
Next to Stephen Moffat, Chris Chibnall, and I don't know, Eric Sayward, dare I say it? On the sort of like Tomb of Rassilon.
Oh, you mean when it strikes and they get immortalized?
Yeah.
So you see him kind of like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be amazing. You know, I would love that. Okay, and Russell, please write that. Just for
I want that as a T-shirt.
If you screen cap it, you would be able to do that. You know, I think that would be immense.
Yes.
Just have a little cameo. And I think that would be really cool.
I think we just gave Russell his idea for the special. It will end with him having a cameo as Rassilon.
So he can be on a nice. He can have his head on a nice bust.
Oh no, I don't think Russell goes there, David.
I don't think he'll be down.
I don't think. Yeah.
No.
That's not his style.
Gratitude and admiration to Darren Litch-Randall's fabulous, very playful fan artist. We love your work, my friend. Keep it coming, keep it coming. And if you want us to keep it coming in your direction, you know what to do and where to look. Instagram and X at Type40 Doctor Who for our social medias there. Find out what's on our mind, what we're sharing this week. Facebook too. There's the Type40 Facebook page full of delightful reels, facts and figures and stats and other kinds of stories now trotting out on the feed there on the Type40 Facebook page. So go and check that out, or you can get in touch with us through there. Any kind of feedback whatsoever. The link is in the description to that. Send us your suggestions, your comments, your theories about where things could go, who will be doing what, where and when and how. If you want to catch up with our content, our previous editions of the show covering all of this stuff, you can find them in the playlists, of course, along with all our other deep dive news reports. We've been there at every twist and turn. My God. Oh, we have over the last 4.5 years. Dear me. But we've got so much. Bang on the money. The receipts are in the playlists. Go and check all of that out, as well as our coverage of the film is fabulous. Returns from a few months ago. There's lots of our rolling news coverage just like this. Various celebrations and explorations of perennial Doctor Who topics, all there in the playlists. Knock yourselves out, all you newbies. There's the Type40 podcast as well, all major podcatchers, and our home feed at type40.podbean.com. The TARDIS could be on its way back after all, maybe. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. The waiting game continues after this pause for thought, report, and speculation. This is one of the things the Doctor Who community do the very, very best. We unapologetically offer our findings, our reports, and our opinions, our instincts. They're no better than yours, but they're offered in the spirit of entertainment, I'd like to think. So let us know what you think of all of that in the comments. By all means, there are no wrong answers. Ezra Goldstein says, I've heard a rumor that the Christmas special will only have Billy Piper and no David Tennant. There's probably somebody who's heard that it's all David Tennant and no Billy Piper. There are so many rumors floating around, which is one of the reasons why I set about putting that report together in the first place, while we reached out to people that we knew to bring you as much as we could to cross-check, to verify. It was done in the spirit of true independent journalism, and how it's taken by whoever is down to the individual and out of our control. We just do the best that we can to bring you everything that we can about those stories between the press releases. The off switch is a wonderful invention, according to Matthew Pounder, which I think is our cue to piss off. Thank you, Matthew. We appreciate your company. Break it to us gently.
Everyone's a critic.
I know. That's me every week, says Pete Venkman. I think he means going to the pub like you, Luke, in a Christmas jumper, with a hope in your heart and a song on your lips. I think that's what Pete Venkman does all the time. That's what he's suggesting.
Are you a Scampy Fries man, Pete? Do you like Scampy Fries?
I love Scampy Fries, but I tell you what, right? Doctor Who needs a hard reboot, okay?
Yes, I quite agree.
When you say hard, do you mean get Danny Dyer in to play the Doctor? Is that kind of hard?
Nah, I mean, scrap 60 years of continuity, start fresh. No more soft reboots in like 2005, 10, 18.
I gotta admit, Luke was very persuasive in his reel. And if you want to know what we're talking about, go onto YouTube and watch Luke's reel. He lays out a good argument.
I agree with it wholeheartedly, and I've been arguing for that for a long time. It's a simple concept of an alien in a broken TARDIS traveling through time and space with a companion or companions going to different places in time and space, and the mystery of and it should be Doctor Who, as in the mystery is, who is this person? Who is this alien? This benevolent person who solves problems by using their brain rather than weapons.
We'll have to have a debate about that on a future show.
Yeah. I just saw the best comment ever from Funky saying mix scampi and bacon fries together and you get
yes.
Why have I never thought of that? What's
Yes. Yes, I love it. I love it, Funky. Yes.
I think you should be ashamed of yourself, to be truthful.
I'm all in on the surf and turf fries. All in.
Yeah. Oh, all in. I'm amazed.
Keep watching Luke's Cinescope account there. You'll demonstrate that in a reel if we're lucky, if we keep our fingers crossed.
I've been writing all of his scripts for him, and he's been doing a great job reading them on his. I'm kidding.
You're the one that loved Jodie Whittaker and Shooty Gatwa. I thought it was you. Right, that makes sense now.
So, if people want to hear your arguments, your beautifully formed arguments, Luke, delivered in bite-sized chunks in real form, where can they find all of those to positively gorge on your wisdom and your flights of fancy?
Go to the Cinescope Facebook page, actually. Cinescope Ltd. Go have a look at search us up, have a look. I spoke some really mad stuff. A lot of controversial opinions. That I just like some really weird stuff. I liked The Last Jedi. I have gone back on Rise of Skywalker. I thought the Batman was a bit shit. I like Jodie Whittaker and Shooty Gatwa. And I think Doctor Who needs a hard reboot and start again because continuity is a mess. Let's put a pin in it and start fresh.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think that assemble two squads to thrash that out here on a future edition of Time 45. But in the meantime, I'll put the link to your Facebook page and all those fabulous reels in the description as well. Thank you for your company. Luke. I notice how as the stream goes on, Luke always sinks deeper into his chair, gets more and more.
I do, just go down and down and down. My mic started off up there earlier, it's down here now. It also helps I haven't got any trousers on, so it's like, Jesus.
Yeah, well, some things are best.
We don't need to see little Luke.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
So
I got my Uzi on. I'm very nice and
Thank you
warm.
again to Luke Walters, and watch out for that debate coming soon, maybe sometime. Lots more to talk about, plenty on the slate. Lots of exciting things happening at Type 40 Live in the next couple of weeks. So much so, I wish I could tell you about them, but I want to keep you waiting and guessing as to what's going to pop out, where, and when. The only way you can make sure you don't miss any of that, the only way you can make sure you don't miss any of that is to stay subscribed here to the channel. If you think you're subscribed, you might not be, because YouTube can be bastards like that. So check that you're still subscribed and hit the cloister bell, of course, to get all our notifications about when we're swinging into action next. Okay, who else is it? Gary.
Yes,
Fabulous stuff. Talking about, broadcasting, the broadcasting world, the real world, as well as the fictional world. I think it's a big part of being a Doctor Who fan. I think it's something that we've always done. But the beauty of living in the age that we do is that we don't need to second guess the thoughts and the habits of people overseas. We can just ask them. Like I can ask you, and you can tell me. And we can have a good laugh about it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were throwing out a lot of references to things and events and shows and stuff I didn't get, but I have the context now to be able to figure out what you guys are talking about. So it's great to be part of a stream that I think is at the forefront of breaking this last weekend, this week, and I think it's going to be proven 100% correct down the line, and I'm just honored to be a part of that with all of you guys.
Well, this is the one thing I hope.
Well, two of you anyway.
I hope we're wrong about it. I really
Luke,
want Billy in the special. I hope that changes. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I like
because
Billy
we want
Piper.
her. We want her. Sorry.
Well, people out there, David, it's strange when you publish stuff like this, you publish findings, reports, you break stories, people take it in such a negative way. There's a significant number of people who read it in a very negative way, or assume that I'm celebrating and I'm enjoying this. I'm not. No. I don't want to see Billy Piper playing Doctor Who. The Doctor is, for me, the Doctor is a man. But I was happy to have Billy Piper return to the show. I was content for her to lead a Christmas special in ideally as Rose Tyler, or a version of Rose Tyler, or as the moment. I was open to it, and I think that Billy Piper is an absolutely integral part of Doctor Who. I love how she is with the fans. I respect how she's been surrounding the various parts that she's played. I was happy enough to see her back, even if none of it made sense. So I wasn't celebrating any of that. But it's funny how people receive.
No, I know. That's not what I was. Yeah.
You're sending.
I know. And likewise, the thing is, you write yourself into a corner, and they've done it so many times in so many different TV shows, like Bobby Ewing, like all these sorts of different things. It doesn't matter what sort of TV show. And what you don't want to happen is when somebody's been written into a corner, for you not to be able to take it up again and resolve it. Yeah. People hate things not being resolved. And you know what? I know nobody took pleasure in the fact. I think we were all sort of shocked, disappointed, all those sort of different synonyms you could use for that sort of thing. When that sort of information broke, and we just want it to be resolved. And I am willing, always willing, and despite Russell's overuse of lore and overuse of continuity in the last two series, and him getting it wrong largely, I am willing, and I know there are many people who are not, but I just want him to resolve it in a way that I can go, okay, that's resolved, right, let's move on. Okay. And I'm willing to give him that chance for him to be able to resolve it, and so the franchise can move on in whatever way it needs to.
Well, David, David Milling, David Milling, you mentioned Bobby Ewing. Are you going on record now as saying that you want the Christmas special to start with Ncuti Gatwa coming out of the shower?
I don't think we are ready to see that.
Okay.
However,
basically,
yeah.
the phone.
However, going by the way that soaps often resolve things, from people coming back from the dead, Dirty Dan, Kathy Beale, Kathy Mitchell, whatever you want to call her, and things like that. I think once you get into I know Doctor Who can be fantastical, but I think once what it needs is a comma or a full stop. Actually, a full stop. It needs a full stop. This Christmas special needs to be a full stop, so we can then move on to the next chapter. And I think without that element of Billy, I'd be gutted. Absolutely, I would take no pleasure at all in not seeing Billy in that final special. In that special, I would hate it. It really would put a downer on it for me.
Thank you for your company, David, and your
pleasure
input,
as always.
Your contributions. I mean, the beauty of this show, as has always been the case, is that you will get a plethora of opinions and tastes from all over the map. And long may that continue, with no party lines, no beef, and no bullshit. We just take your comments, your rants, and your raves and sort of put them in to the computer as well, the big TARDIS computer. Have a rattle it around with hard facts, bring something of ourselves, and hope it all works out in the end. Hopefully you'll join in the comments section. There's lots to think on that we've talked about this time. Were you at the big DWAS convention there to celebrate 50 years of the Doctor Who Appreciation Society? If you were there, let us know in the comments. What about Saturday Night Live UK, the finale coming this weekend with Ncuti Gatwa as the guest host? Are you on board for that show? Have you been won around by that in light of the Doctor Who spoof? And will you be there to see the return of the 15th Doctor with his new facial fungus? Let us know about all of that, as well as our long-standing, long-running reports here about everything that's going on with our favourite TV show, Doctor Who. Where will we be? Where will we be at Christmas? Where will we be by September? Never mind Christmas. We'll find out together, as always, here at Type 40 Live, where we always have the time, if you have the space. And we will see you next time. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend.
Go well.
Bye-bye, Duggan.
Night.